everybody? Oh my god, welcome back to episode 7 of the Comic Nerds. And holy crap, guys, I don't think you understand. I have been waiting all week to talk about this. We are finally doing the Spider Man No Way Home non spoiler and spoiler movie review. And I can't wait. How you guys doing? We got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, I've been waiting all week to talk to you two in particular, and
We
I'm
got
like,
we got so much.
this, I
I
don't know, it's just
spoke
I've been
already
saving it in my
to
brain.
myself.
Yeah.
You
So
spoke
Yeah,
to
and
yourself?
yeah, and I'm over it.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot
I was
more to
getting ready to be
talk about,
scared now.
Andrew. So we got at least one more day, 2 more hours at least for you to go through this. So let's go ahead. You know what? Honestly, we have so much to talk about. I say let's go right into it, guys. Before we say this, I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. And we, if you haven't seen Spider Man, here's how the order is going to work. We are first going to do a non-spoiler review of Spider Man. So as we are going to do that, if you haven't seen Spider Man yet, let us know what your expectations are. What do you expect to see in the Spider-Man movie? What are you thinking is going to happen? Tell us your expectations. For those of you who have seen the movie and are watching this, I really ask you, please hold all of your spoiler comments for the spoiler section of the show, so that way we give the people who haven't seen the movie yet the opportunity to at least hear a fair enough review without it being spoiled, and then give them the chance to leave so that we can all talk about the more detailed version of the movie. So just be respectful, and don't spoil anything for anyone until I put that spoiler sign up on the side there and I really warn everybody to get out. That would be awesome. But yeah, as we're giving our reviews, our non-spoiler reviews, let us know what you expect. Let us know, maybe, shoot out who's your favorite Spider-Man out of all three, and who's your favorite Spider-Man of all time, favorite superhero, and everything else like you just kind of want to go in. Because right now there's always been like this whole like who's your favorite Spider-Man war. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
go ahead, throw that out. But yeah, let's go right into the whole non-spoiler review here. I don't know who wants to kind of start. Um,
I
I
guess I'll start because
all right.
I don't think my review is going to be too long. Actually, it's not long at all. It was, since I can't get into details, right? It was there for me. It was okay. I
Of
thought it
course
was
you say that.
okay. Yeah, like the first half, it was your typical No Way Home Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man. I wasn't really enjoying the beginning. I remember turning to my buddy that I went with. I was like, "Oh my God, I kind of just want to walk out right now."
Oh my god.
Oh, come on. You
Yeah.
didn't give it a chance. Like,
Well, the thing is, like that, the beginning of the movie. Oh, I can't say anything. God damn, I gotta wait for the spoiler. Yeah, so I just thought it was okay. So
Okay.
I guess I'll be more detailed about it
So
later.
all right. So non-spoiler number review out of 10. What would you give it?
I give it a solid 7.
Wow. Okay, that's better than I thought, to be honest with you, when you say eh. So
Mhm.
maybe it was eh
Which,
with a
saying that
capital
now,
E.
I gotta take back what I gave Eternals. I gotta drop Eternals down a number
Oh, I don't
because it's
remember
better
what
than
you.
Eternals. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's definitely better
Yeah.
than Eternals. I'll give it that.
Mhm.
I mean, we're not comparing. We're doing the movies based on the movie, not comparing Marvels.
True.
I know, but like in terms of good and bad, you can do it for any movie, right?
Oh, okay.
And like the goodness of Eternal and the goodness of No Way Home, I gave this a number that's like similar to this number, so I kind of want to bring it down
Oh,
for
it should be.
Eternal. Yeah.
Okay,
Got
that
it.
makes sense.
Okay. Shane, do you want to go next?
Yeah. I've been thinking about because like I feel like trying to review this movie without spoilers is going to be very difficult, and I hope I don't
Yeah,
slip up.
it is.
Yeah, be very
And
careful.
it's
Just think. Be
yeah.
very slow.
So the movie overall, beautiful movie, right? I thought the plot was amazing. The character development, beautiful. It was the progression of the characters and like the
There
how
you
each one played such a pivotal role into the transformation of Spider-Man. I was like, I absolutely loved it. And obviously the fight scenes amazing, the CGI impeccable. Like Disney does not disappoint in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What I can say though, compared to the past
Don't
reviews
you
that
dare spoil this movie VFX.
the past theories that we had,
Mm-hmm.
because we had a bunch of random theories that we were throwing out there.
We did.
I feel like we
We
were
did.
very off the mark, but then we were also kind of like
We were
kind
kind of
of out
on the
there.
mark as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a few that we had right spot on.
So,
Then there was ones where like it was like, yeah, that was definitely not the direction I saw it was going in. But like, and I knew this was gonna happen, which was that their version is obviously just as good or better. You know what I mean?
right. And Marvel
Yeah.
always has a knack for making you think that you know exactly what's going to happen, but they
Yeah.
always throw a twist in there. Like you can get a majority of it right, but there's always a twist that you just don't see coming.
Yeah, because it's when they come out with these trailers, you just have theories and like ideas of what the plot's gonna be like, what's gonna be involved in the movie, and they do it very well to like not spoil. Because a lot of trailers make the mistake, a lot of movies make the mistake of when the trailers come out, they give too much in it, and then it's like you're basically watching the trailer in a longer version. But
Right.
like this was like very well done, where I was surprised at almost every turn, and then I enjoyed every bit of it.
Fair, fair.
I give this movie a good 9,
A good 9.
solid
Interesting.
9, yeah,
What other
solid 9.
movies have you given a 9?
Endgame.
Um, Endgame, no, Endgame, I would like to say is like a 10.
Wow.
Another
Oh.
9 is Man of Steel.
Hmm.
That's what I call for a 9. Yeah,
Comparing it
because
to
I
Man of
wouldn't
Steel.
give
Endgame,
that.
Endgame was an accumulation of multiple movies, multiple storylines. You can't help but give it a 10. It was beautifully written, and the heartstrings that it pulls. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's two important things. So yeah, but a solid 9 for No Way Home.
Okay. Good to know.
Mm.
I I don't
Yeah.
even I don't give anything a 10. That's just kind of like my policy. I feel weird giving everything a perfect 10. So I gave
I
Endgame,
know, yeah.
yeah,
I
I
agree.
gave Endgame a
No,
9.5 because I just felt weird giving it a 10. So I was like there's
It's
things
the
that
number
they're
I give The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight's a fantastic movie. Okay, so yeah, for my non-spoiler review, and I'm gonna try and be as descriptive as possible without actually spoiling anything. Like you said, I have I so the more and more that I thought about this movie, the more and more I ended up actually liking it. But when I first saw the movie, I was actually a little disappointed. And it was one of the movies where I thought that I had to watch it for a second time to realize the importance of the movie and also realize how good the movie was. But just literally being forced to think of this movie by myself and not talk to you guys about it made me kind of think back to what happened in the movie and think back of all these parts and being like, oh yeah, this part, and this part, and like thinking about this. And I also watched like a bunch of stuff on TikTok. And I was like, oh wow, yeah, like this is an interesting way of thinking of things. And I actually ended up liking the movie more and more. My original rating for the movie when I first saw it is because I was trying to be, more generous because Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. So I gave it an 8. Then I gave it an 8.5, but I would say that my overall rating for this movie is a 9. Just like Shane, I would agree with you. I think we have the same one. And the reason I'm giving it for a 9, it's not I mean, it has something to do with the movie itself, but it also has something to do with what the movie opened up for the next phases. And we're going to definitely go into that with the spoiler review. But I think that this movie made the next 3 phases. It is the entire reason as to why the next 3 phases can actually even exist, in my opinion. And he did such a good job. We had 6 movies with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, starting from Civil War. And we saw him grow from a kid, making mistakes, learning from his mistakes, and then not like having anything because he had help. Like this entire time, every movie he had help. He had Iron Man's help. He had the Avengers' help. He did things, and it wasn't just him. He was a part of a team. This is the first movie where we see him by himself. And then the next couple of movies that I see, hopefully he has the thing where he was signed for another trilogy is true, and we start to see him actually becoming the comic book version of what Spider-Man really is and what Peter Parker really is. And so I will definitely go more into detail with that in the spoiler review. But as far as the non-spoiler review goes, I think that he did a fantastic job. But like I said, there were some things that I wish changed. I wasn't very happy about. Some of the acting, in my opinion, was very half-assed.
It
It
was
wasn't
average.
as good. It was
The acting was average.
the villains stuff was average. And I'll go into it a little later because I found out why I was actually feeling this way, and just little things that I think they overhyped this movie up for, and I think that they just underhyped it in the actual movie or underplayed it in the actual movie itself. So that was very disappointing to me because those are some of the big things that I was actually really looking forward to in the movie. But even though all of that happened, I'm still giving it a 9 because it's my boy Spidey. And it was just it was very well done. And there were little minor things, and Marvel does this very well, where they just hit the minor details so well, things that you just wouldn't normally think of, and they just throw it in there, and it just makes the movie that much better. So 9, 9, and 7, that pretty much averages to about an 8 overall rating from the three of us
8.5.
as a Spider-Man movie. So that's a really solid, that's the best rating that we've given any movie as of right now.
Yeah.
Not even in the show, like even just talking to each other, like that's the best rating that we've probably given a movie on average.
I feel like it was expected with this movie when it came out. We knew
Yeah.
that we would love this movie.
Right. And fun fact, this is actually not a spoiler, so I wanted to throw this in the non-spoiler review. This is Willem Dafoe, who played the Green Goblin. Actually, let me see here. Do I have? I do. Oof. Ba-bam. My man Willem Dafoe. 66 years old, this guy. 20 years ago, played Green Goblin in the first Tobey Maguire movie.
Was it 20?
Yeah, it was 2002, and now it's 2021, almost 2022. This guy played it almost 20 years ago in that first Tobey Maguire movie. So 20 years ago, he made it an offer. So the only reason that he agreed to be in this movie was if he was more than just a cameo and he did his own fight scenes and stunts. So this man, 66 years old in that Green Goblin suit, did all of his own fight scenes and all of his own stunts in that movie. And so now that you guys have seen this movie, when we get into that spoiler movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's what he said. Like he said
that was the only agreement. He wouldn't sign the deal unless he did his stunts. So they agreed on that and they let him do his stunts.
Wow.
That's why
I will say I don't know if this is it's probably not a spoiler, so I'll say this. Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe's fight scenes to me is like the best part.
Yeah, they were crazy. Sorry for swearing, but like that's why you saw his face in all the fight scenes, because they didn't CGI him out. They didn't do a stunt double. He was there. He did them all. So
that was
good for him. That guy, like 66, and he's moving like that. Like that was impressive as anything. So I thought that was a really cool fact there that happened for a little cameo. So now, guys, I think what I can safely say is that we can actually go into finally the spoiler review. So what I'm gonna do?
Oh no, spoilers! Oh no,
yeah, spoiler. So I'm going right into the spoiler thing, guys. Spoiler alert! I'm gonna give you guys at least 10 or so seconds. Anyone who's watching this, if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, this is the opportunity now to leave, because we will be spoiling the movie. We will be going into very, very, very big detail into this movie, ruining a lot of stuff. So as much as I would love to have you as a part of this stream, VFX, thanks for joining in. As much as I want you to be a part of the stream, I really don't want to ruin this movie for you guys. So I will see you all hopefully on the next stream, and we'll kind of get going on to this spoiler here. So spoiler alert, it's done. I'm going to throw on the spoiler alert, the official spoiler alert right now. Here's the spoiler alert. This is it. This is the spoiler on the left here. Spoiling.
Alert.
I'm spoiling right now. Guys,
Spoil,
we're
spoil,
about to spoil.
spoil,
We are going to give
spoil,
our spoil review.
spoil,
It's too
spoil.
spoiling
Spoiler.
it. We're spoiling. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we are entering the spoiler review. Let's just do the same
Can you
order.
believe Godzilla was in the movie? Oh my
I know. Freaking Optimus Prime was in there too.
That's your question.
Crazy.
So anyway,
And that guy from Fast and the Furious.
the Fast and Furious, Vin Diesel, the whole thing. He was the one who talked about family the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured. All right, so to kick off the spoiler review, why don't we just start in the same order that we left in? So Andrew, if you want to kick off the spoiler here.
Okay, so spoiler review. The movie started out with, I'm assuming, the end of the second Spider-Man.
Yeah, it kicked off
right?
right where the second Spider-Man left off.
So I didn't really have to watch the second one because I figured that clip actually just told
That's
me everything I need to
literally
know.
just tells you everything you need to know for this. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Well, and that you like MJ was dating
This is
Peter.
what?
MJ was dating Peter at the time. They started dating in the second movies. That's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, like this is why like I really don't really like Marvel's big movie because it always starts with like this minor situation and it becomes this big thing. And what I mean by that is like at the end of the second movie with this clip, it teases you, it leaves you with a cliffhanger. It's like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Everyone knows Peter Parker now and stuff like that. It's gonna be something huge. But when going into this movie, I thought that's gonna play much more of a bigger role in this movie, but it didn't.
It did.
Like that thing lasted for like the first 10, 15, 20 minutes or something like
I
that,
was
where they
pretty
had a
pissed off.
crisis, and then it was over. Like I found that so annoying for some reason. I don't know if you guys did too. Like
I get what you mean.
The
That's
biggest
true.
issue was them not being able to get into college. Are you kidding me? I want
Yeah.
to flip
Because it's
chairs
the
over
way.
when
I mean, the like I know it's still in your review, but like the way that they just sped through it, like they did time skips over months, a span of months, and then got into the whole thing. But it was
I
like
know, but
even
then seeing it
before
as
that,
a
even
movie
before that
is
started, yeah, but before that even started, like they basically it was like, oh, they handle things with the police already. You're safe, you know. And it was like now you just deal with a world that knows you're Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was very. It was like it's the second movie made it seem like, oh my god, this is gonna screw up his whole life.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because there's comic variations of him. Like people know that he's Peter, and there's
Which
just so much shit
Yeah.
that happens because
You'd be
of
thinking
that.
all the villains be coming after him, kind of stuff. You would think
Right.
it would do like, but you talking about? I'm talking about his villain.
No,
Like
yeah,
not.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about, but nothing. Yeah, I know exactly. I
Yeah.
agree. That was one of my talking points, actually. I was going to bring
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
up.
So that happened, like this whole crisis thing. They couldn't get into college. So Peter saw like a decorative item from Zendaya's store or MJ's store or coffee shop, and then he had this idea of talking to Doctor Strange and try to like revert everything. Couldn't find a. They didn't have the time stone, so he couldn't go back in time to fix this thing. But he has this convenient magic that can like
Memory spell.
make people forget
Yeah.
that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Which I've never seen Endgame or like Infinity War, right? But this bugs me because we know obviously this is a spoiler. So the ending of No Way Home, he has a spell to make people forget Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
People from the multiverse forget Peter Parker, so they don't come back to chase after him. So I'm like, if Doctor Strange has the stupid power that can make people forget something, why didn't he just make Thanos forget about the freaking gauntlet? Like, what the fuck is this? And Thanos is in the same universe. He's not in a multiverse, which is much more crazier. Like, the
Yeah.
multiverse, you have to go through some crazy power to do that shit. But he couldn't do that to Thanos during Infinity War. What the fuck?
Well,
is going on?
technically, the Thanos that they fought during Endgame was actually a different Thanos, a part of a different multiverse.
Oh, and Endgame
It's,
He was,
was
he
no,
was a
it's
part of a different universe,
that wasn't multi. It was
regardless.
same universe, different timeline.
different time. Oh,
So because
okay.
yeah, we got
Yeah.
to differentiate between the
Got it.
two.
What's
Got it.
changed
Got it.
then?
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
There you
So,
go. All right.
Yeah.
So that bugged me. But anyways, that's for the ending. And he did the spell.
Oh,
And this
VFX.
part
I'm
bugged me
telling you
too. I'm
right
telling you.
now, this is going to be a lot of spoilers. So just watch at
Yeah.
your own risk.
Like this bugged me also during that moment where he was casting a spell, because Peter, obviously we saw in the trailer, like he kept interjecting, intervening the spell. What, 3 times? I think it was 3 times. 4 times.
Four
4 or
times.
5, yeah,
And
actually.
Doctor Strange, being this wise wizard, couldn't just like stop on a third time and be like, you know what exactly do you want?
Yeah.
And just like do everything. But he didn't. And eventually the whole thing like messes up, and then Doctor Strange put the whole spell in this cube box and talked to Peter's like, did you even try calling like
Yeah, the
the
MIT.
head
That was a
knowledge
funny. That
people?
was a funny scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, this movie is like a Disney movie with powers, which it is.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
And this
this
is
really
why
what it
like
is.
this is why I don't like the Tom Holland Spider-Man, because it
No,
just gave me
because
that vibe where it's
the
just
thing
like
I
everything
like,
is just
there were moments of like funny scenes, but the comedy didn't overpower the movie. Like
Yeah, I
those were
agree.
the first half
those
it
were
did.
nice
The
little
first
moments.
half.
Those were nice little moments.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, the
100%.
first half, like I could not take anything seriously, but it is a good comedy movie to me. Like the first 1/3 of the movie, which is
Mhm.
fine. But in like me just trying to, I guess it's more of me being biased because I'm just trying to find like a more serious toned Spider-Man, and I wasn't
Mhm.
getting that like from the first beginning, like the beginning part of the movie.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like so what happened after that? He went to go try to talk with the lady on the highway, right? And
Yep.
that's where they introduce Dr.
Doctor.
Ock.
Yep.
I feel like I'm going through the whole movie. Like I'm trying to
You
remember
are
like the
kind of
whole
going through the
fucking
whole
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
You
And Dr. Ock come
know,
in, which I'll tell you this though, like when he was talking with the lady and like I guess he had the spider sense,
Yeah.
I had chills
That was the
because I knew
OG.
what was coming.
That was the OG way
yeah,
of introducing the spider. That was how, like in the comics and everything, that's how Peter Parker had his spider sense. It was the
Mhm.
waves. Like that was really
yeah.
cool.
So in the second movie, he was just learning the spider
Hmm.
sense and honing it. So for him to frequently use it and kind of he's still like because he was still kind of new to the spider sense with like so if you remember in the middle like somewhere in the middle of the movie where like I'm sorry I'm jumping around but like somewhere in the middle of the movie where he was like he sensed it he couldn't pinpoint
Yeah,
where the
he
danger was.
concentrated.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
he was
cool.
trying to
Also, he
concentrate.
was just learning.
Yeah,
Every time he had his spidey sense activate, you realize that the screen actually went like a little blurry. You would see like the waves pop out. I loved that because that was actually like
yeah,
legit the spidey sense. That was
Yeah.
your spidey sense.
yeah,
It was so
Right.
yeah.
cool to like actually
MCU is
incorporate that.
Yeah,
great
that
with
was
the comic accuracy. They're doing great with the comic book accuracy.
Yeah.
that was good. I guess like the reason why I'm trying to like, or at least why I'm going through like the whole movie, because this movie like it kind of give me or it gave me a like a tidal wave of like emotions.
Hmm.
Like at first I would be like hate the movie, then I would love the movie, then I would hate the movie, and I would love the movie, I would hate the movie, I would love the movie. So I'm going through this thing, and then they introduced Doctor Ock, and yo, I freaking lost my shit when he showed up. Like everyone was clapping in the theater, I was clapping. I was like, oh shit, this thing is awesome and stuff like that. Then the whole
I went. Sorry, real quick, because I went to the theaters twice, like back
no,
to back days, and the first day, everyone appropriately reacted.
Hmm.
They wilded out and applauded every time they introduced a new character, right? And everyone knew the right scenes to like react. The second
yeah,
day, it was so dead silent, and I was, and like even though it was my second time seeing it, I still reacted,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
There were some times that I wanted to
mm,
react in the theater because there were some times that people wouldn't react, and I'm like, I just want to yell, I just want to be yeah, and then like get everyone like hyped for it because I was like, I
no,
don't think you understand what the fuck this is,
yeah.
but yeah,
My showing everyone reacted the way I wanted them
yeah,
to react.
people reacted to
Mhm.
the bigger moments, but like that was really
Yeah.
it.
And, well, I want to like emphasize on this moment where like I went crazy when Doctor Ock showed up because obviously this is like one of the OG villain, right? One of the
Hmm.
OG villains, Spider-Man 2, I believe.
Spider-Man 2 with
And
Tobey Maguire.
yeah, so the theater got loud, and that made me more excited. And then the whole situation happened with Doctor Ock and Spider-Man, and him finding out that that's not his Peter Parker.
Hmm.
And then what is it? He got up to back to the car, and you thought like, okay, the comedy part is over because he had like a little comedy moment with Peter Parker there. How Peter was controlling his tentacle thing with the
Yeah, yeah,
nanotech.
yeah.
Yeah, and the theater like it died down. Everyone's laughing and stuff like that. And I should have expected this because it was in the trailer, but I didn't expect it. I'm so glad that I have short-term memory because like this thing, it caught me off guard, and I'm pretty sure it caught the whole theater off guard because I thought we cheered the loudest we can cheer when Doctor Ock showed up. But then like
yeah,
right when that moment kind of like died down, you see the like you see like something happened, and then like Peter Parker looked up,
I
and
know
you
what
see
it
the
is.
goblin ball.
You heard the
Yeah,
laugh.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
heard the laugh and then
yeah,
the throw.
yeah,
Yeah.
the laugh. I shit you not. Like I didn't even know people can scream this loud in a movie theater, but that shit went stupid loud when Green Goblin showed up,
Yo,
and
he's
And
I
those were the
so
almost stood up.
reveals that
good.
was in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that's
so that right
crazy.
there, like that reveal, how they did it, like from this epic moment here, did this little bit of comedy, which I didn't mind honestly, and then to another epic moment. That transition, I got to give it up. Like that made the movie at that moment. It made the movie for me. Like how they transitioned to
Mhm.
Green Goblin. That thing was so. Oh my god. But yeah. Anyways, going forward. So what happened after that? Did you see Green Goblin? Did he get teleported? He got teleported,
Yeah, he
right?
got teleported
Into
back to the cave.
Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by Doctor Strange. And then they had
The
some
Wizard
more,
Dungeon.
yeah, comedy moment, which I
Mhm.
again, like it's just comedy after comedy, and I was still like trying to die down from the Green Goblin like excitement. I think, oh my god. Okay, you guys gotta help me out because I'm still trying to go through the movie.
So then
So now there's
he
a
caught
dungeon.
all the six he caught all the villains after that. He went to go on a mission to catch the
Not,
villains and then
yeah,
everything was
to
being
catch all of them.
introduced. So then he introduced the Sandman and
Oh
Electro.
'cause Doctor Ock gave him
Yeah,
Doctor Strange
Doctor Strange
gave him
had caught
power.
Lizard himself.
Yeah.
It was like a whole thing.
That was all big comedy
Uh,
section stuff. Like that was really just big
yeah.
Yeah.
comedy.
So what was that suit? The black suit? Like what was that all about?
So
It's because he couldn't
okay,
get
let
the
me
stain
real
out.
quick let me address that because that was one of our random ass theories,
It
and it
was.
was so
It
anticlimactic
was.
that he just turned the suit inside out.
He literally just turned the suit inside out because he got fucking green goop on it because someone threw green goop on his old suit. He couldn't wash it off, so he just flipped it inside out, bro. Like I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was like, "I thought that was fucking technology."
I know it was, and then honestly, and if you concentrate on close to the suit, it had
The
pieces of
wires and
fabric.
stuff, yeah, it was
Yeah, the
sticking
wires and the
out.
fabric and shit is just. I'm like, wow, that's so like. I'm
I
like,
know
I started
that's
thinking
so
about it,
misguiding.
all I could think about after seeing the wires stuff, I was like, that makes me so uncomfortable to wear under
Yeah,
there.
it probably
I'm
is.
like the wires poking out his skin. I was like, is that accurate? Like, is that what the inside should be like? I'm like, that seems weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I think our theory was like, oh, this is like this new suit and
I
stuff like
thought it
that. It
was
was
gonna be.
probably
I thought
Yeah.
it was gonna be
made.
created kind of like influenced with Wakandan technology.
Mm,
Yeah, with that black gold and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It was like, because it's a cool aesthetic with the colors, but it was very misleading on like what the suit meant. I thought it was like some kind of stealth suit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was
mhm,
very anticlimactic on the purpose of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So then this is where they introduced brought back Electro, and I got to tell you though, like in the theater, everyone was cheering, but it wasn't as loud
It
as
wasn't
when
hyped up.
Goblin
I
came
didn't even care about that
in.
scene.
And then obviously Sandman. I don't even think anyone really cheered for Sandman, which is sad
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he has like a sad story about his daughter the whole entire movie. So now he
He
brought
just wanted to get
all
back.
these
Yeah.
people, yeah, all these people back into the dungeon. Still trying to figure out what the hell where what happened after
He
that.
wanted to help them, and because he found out that they all died fighting
Yeah.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
so then he wanted to
They
help
Oh
were
them
yeah,
pulled
afterwards.
from the
where he took
moment
the
before their
cube.
death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he took the
You know,
cube and then
real quick. So something that kind of I'm like thinking about, right? They were pulled from the moments of their death, and like he wanted to like Peter Parker wanted to cure them and help them, so that way when they go back to the universe, they'll be saved.
Mm-hmm.
But it's moments from their death.
No, but so this is I have a theory about this actually. So I'll get into that. I think we can get into that a little bit later because I do have
Honestly,
a theory.
let's just let's skip the whole
Let's just go into
you
the
review, I
review.
review thing. This is just he's narrating the story and we interject. That's because I feel like that's more
I
Oh,
feel like
if that's gonna happen, I have things that I already skipped over that I want to say. So I was gonna say
okay.
because
Go back and say it.
I do want to give my opinion on this review thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Okay, we can still do it.
yeah,
But I'm interjecting the entire time. I just want you to know that.
I like it. I like that you
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
it, and I really do appreciate. Because like I said, I can't. This movie, I have to go through the whole thing because I need to remember why I give it the score that I gave
Yeah.
it.
So
You
basically,
know?
the last
Yeah.
thing that happened was he wanted to prevent them from dying, so then he brings them over to Happy's hotel room,
Well,
and then
he
he starts to
didn't,
like fix
right?
them.
But he did, but then like it
Oh, he
got
fought
more
Doctor
serious
Strange
when he
too.
went back to. Yeah, he
Yeah,
fought Doctor
he
Strange.
had to
Which
fight Doctor Strange. And do you guys remember that scene where he was like ejected out of his body,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like but his
yeah.
body was still able to react?
yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah. So Doctor Strange was trying to chase after him because he had the box to send everyone back. And
yeah,
there was a scene you see in the trailer where Doctor Strange ejects Tom Holland out of his
Yeah,
body,
he did
and
the
like
progesterone, like
astral projected,
the
yeah,
astral projecting
astral
thing.
projection stuff. And is so like I'm thinking, is he in that scene his actual body still reacts and try to keep the box away from him? Is it the spider sense reaction
It's just a
skills, the
spider sense
Spider-Man
reaction
one?
because
Yeah,
yeah.
in the
That was
comics, his
Spider-Man.
spider sense is its own thing. So
yeah,
like it's like yeah, it's a natural instinct that his body gains. So even though his soul is out of his body still has the
yeah.
OG spider sense,
Yeah,
and
that
it reacts to it, which I
the
thought was
defensive
really
mechanism
well
thing.
done.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was great.
That scene though, like
Oh.
him, Doctor Strange doing all that power stuff, like manipulating reality in a way, I thought that was unnecessary. I think it's just there for
It
The
was
to
just
look
there
Mirrorverse?
cool.
for like
Yeah, the mirror thing. Yeah. So I wasn't
Well,
really too
that's
thrilled about that.
yeah. That throwback to the original Doctor Strange movie, it was like a nice throwback, but I was like, I didn't enjoy that fight too much.
yeah.
I was like, because
Yeah.
it's too visually like stimulating that I was like, I just want to see them like fight. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
Exactly, yeah. Like when they were in the city, that it was a good fight. A little bit. It was quick,
Yeah,
but it was a good
when
fight.
he threw the portal and like Spider-Man was trying to shoot for Web, but he ended up shooting his own leg from behind him,
Hmm.
and I was
Yeah,
like, oh, I love that.
Yeah, it
that
That
was
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 good.
pretty
clever.
clean.
Yeah,
That was pretty clean. But I think like the whole purpose of that is just so like he can take the ring from Doctor Strange and give it to Ned,
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
So
yeah,
that's
Which
basically what
I
happened.
got stuff to go into that too. I got stuff.
yeah.
I got stuff.
You know what? I, I'm just gonna like stop here.
Well, what was you? So no, because we got so much stuff to talk about too. So all right, let's
I
kind of
know.
skip
I
over a
know.
couple
I want to
things.
hear.
We can talk more about
Yeah,
this
I
stuff,
want to
but
hear yours.
I want to
So
hear
I,
your opinion, Andrew, because let's just fucking reveal it. All three Spider-Man were back into this movie. Andrew
which
Garfield
okay, so
and Tobey
Nostalgia,
Maguire.
straight to the point
nostalgic as
of
hell.
nostalgic as hell, and honestly, that was the best. Like that was the best part of the movie was when
It
they
was
were
so
introduced.
good.
Absolutely.
The fight
The
Yeah.
reveal,
scenes, the
because
reveal, it
so
was so well
so
done.
let's explain that scene of their reveal real quick, right? Ned has the sling ring, and he's just randomly like
Hold on,
wave
no, no.
his hand.
Before we do, I think we definitely went went
Oh, we're
over
skipping around.
something.
That's what it feels like.
I know,
Yeah.
but let's do this first and then go there because
Yeah, let's try and go
Aunt
in
May died.
order. We'll go in order because
Oh
I
my
do
god,
want
I forgot that scene.
to.
I got so sad.
Yo, no. Here's the thing.
No, it wasn't.
That's how irrelevant that fucking scene was. I didn't care for that scene at all.
That's what I'm saying.
You
It
didn't
was
care for
not
that
even like
scene?
relevant.
No, it
No,
wasn't
it
even.
was
I
so
didn't care
stupid.
for it. It was dumb. It was un. It was like when someone dies, I expect to cry. Especially when it's this big of a thing. It wasn't executed correctly. I think it could have been
It's
executed so much better, and they just rushed it.
I agree.
They rushed it.
Yeah,
I
I
don't think.
agree.
Yeah,
That was one
the
of the
way
things that I was super upset about.
Like
I
I
did not get emotional in that scene as much as I'd hoped to,
You know what's funny?
considering how much Aunt May has
Oh
played a
yeah.
role in that series.
In
yeah.
in the movie theater, I was literally watching that scene and I was like trying to tear up. I was literally telling myself, I was like, I should probably tear up. Like this is a really sad
Yeah,
thing. Like try and
it's really
tear up.
sad, right?
That's
What
the
the
same
hell's wrong with
thing.
you?
Am I a
I just
psycho?
couldn't freaking do
I
it.
should be sad.
I couldn't do it, man. I
Yo,
couldn't.
I I felt more sadness from when Peter was on the roof and then Andrew Garfield was like, "Yeah,
Telling him
I
about
lost, I lost my
Gwen.
Gwen. No, I lost Gwen.
She
That's
was
my
my
MJ."
MJ.
And
That
then
was
you see his
so
face. I
sad.
felt more sadness from that
Yo,
than Aunt May's
I
Yeah.
death.
felt more sadness from that, but I also teared up. And the only part that I teared up in that movie was when Andrew Garfield caught Zendaya, and he was like super emotional because
We all
he
knew
knew
she was
he was
getting
like,
caught
I
by him.
saved her. Like this
We
is
all
my
knew.
Yeah,
redemption. That was
I know.
like the
Yeah,
saddest moment.
They gave him the redemption save,
It was so,
and it was so
it was
yeah.
beautiful.
so needed.
I
His
I
acting is
smiled.
incredible. His
Yeah,
acting was
Yeah,
incredible in
his
this.
acting's so good.
I smiled at that scene. I smiled, but I did want to like. I told myself like, yo, if you need to cry, because this movie is about to end soon, you need to cry at least once in this movie, right? And that scene was that scene where he saves Zendaya. or MJ. I keep saying Zendaya, but like
Yeah.
MJ.
He's saying today.
I was like, this is probably the last moment where I have the chance to cry, right? So I was trying to force myself to cry, and I felt it coming, but then the scene ended real quick. But it was a good scene. This is if Marvel keep doing their comedy like how they did it here, I would appreciate a bit more. Because MJ, she was doing like, why are you crying? Like,
Yeah.
what are you crying for? And then like Andrew's like, whatever.
But the
like
thing is,
the
when
sad face.
yeah, but like that's what made me tear up because he was like it wasn't the fact that he caught her. It wasn't the fact that he asked her if she was okay. It was the fact that when Zendaya asked him if he was okay and
Yeah.
he was tearing
That
Yeah.
was
up
when
and
it
then
hit.
he was
That was
just
when it
like
hit.
choked up and he was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." That's what got me because we all know what he was thinking. Just because
Yeah.
Zendaya don't know, but we
Yes.
know, and we're like, "Fuck, man! Like this is the
Yeah.
scene.
We
This
were
is it.
there.
We were there.
We
We
were
went
Yeah.
through this
there.
whole thing.
You
That was
were there.
important.
We were there.
That was
Yeah.
important.
Which I called, by the way. So past stream, if anyone else seeing the past stream, I called that
Yeah.
shit. I knew
No,
Andrew
we
Garfield was gonna
all
save
called
MJ.
that.
Yeah, he
Like,
called. He called.
how dare they give us the exact type of fall, the exact type of
Yeah.
scene that Andrew Garfield went through, and not give him
Yeah.
that
During
redemption save.
during the theater in that scene, everyone like as soon as like everyone's like, "Yo, okay, Tom's gonna catch her," and then all of a sudden he got
Yeah.
hit by Green Goblin, and everyone's like, it wasn't. They didn't even show Andrew's face yet. As soon as
Yeah.
Green Goblin hit Peter out the way,
Yeah.
everyone started cheering because everyone knew what the fuck was gonna happen next.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
they saw Andrew's face, and then they cheered even louder. And I like almost
Yep.
got out my seat. I was at the edge of my seat at this time, and the problem was my fucking seat was reclined, and I was still on the edge of my seat, and I was like, "This is it, this is it!" And everyone was getting hyped. I was clapping. Oh, it was it was a good scene. It was
Bro, I
really
Yeah.
could not sit still in my seat.
Yeah.
I was like laying back, and I'm like leaning forward. I'm like,
good. So all right, let's
So,
finish
whole
your
time.
review. Let's finish
I'll-
your review.
Yeah. Okay, we gotta finish.
We gotta get into
So,
the reviews because we have
the
so
movie-
much to talk about right now.
Yeah. So Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire was the best part of the movie. Obviously, the fight scenes were okay. The action was okay. The fight scenes with Green Goblin were my favorite part. The fight scene with the fight scene with Green Goblin, like when he was before Aunt May's death and then towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the best fight scenes in the movie to me. The action was just random explosion and stuff like that, and I didn't really care for it. When the three Spider-Men fought, didn't really care for that too. I mean, I enjoyed it because
Oh,
it's
I
Andrew
loved it.
Garfield, Toby, stuff like that, but I didn't care because it was just quick. It was quick.
I
Like,
loved
it was-
it.
Didn't really have much.
it was quick, hard to
choreography.
follow, but it was.
Yeah.
God,
So
did
in terms of
They did the original
Yeah.
woos and everything. Oh.
Yeah. So in terms of like action, it was okay for me. In terms of story wise, I thought it's a good solid story. In terms of character acting, it was okay, mediocre. It's typical Marvel acting. In terms of character development, right? I think this is it, right? Because I never liked the Tom Holland Spider-Man, but towards the end of the movie, and then seeing the path he's chosen at the end of the movie, I think going forward, I can probably enjoy Tom
Yeah.
Holland's.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into
That's
that
sort
too
of
because that's gonna be
it's a
interesting.
callback to
Yeah.
the Spider-Mans we're familiar with.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
Yeah.
gonna
You know,
so-
there's big things I think are gonna happen now, and
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I think
With
we're
that
definitely gonna
said-
get into that.
With that said, if it wasn't for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, I probably would have given this a very low number.
My number would at
But
least be a
because they're in
6.
it, Yeah, like the nostalgia effect, like I said, like I don't know, just like the dialogue between the three.
Mhm.
It was just I thought it was clever and funny and amazing. So
Yeah.
a 7 for me. 7 for me.
Okay. Shane, you want to give a a spoiler review here?
Give a non-spoiler review.
My bad.
Give
Give a
another
spoiler
one.
review here.
There's just I'm just gonna pick moments from movies that are my favorite, right? Like because we all knew the reveals of the villains that were coming, and everyone in my theater absolutely cheered. But like the one reveal where like we all weren't sure was coming, and they showed it, I was like, Matt Murdock.
Oh
When
no,
they showed that cane,
bro! I'm gonna tell you
Right?
right now, I was pissed off at that scene too. I'm gonna get more into
What?
I'll get into
you
detail.
were
in my-
pissed off at the
during-
scene.
Yeah, I'll get more into detail when I do my review because that's one of the things that I want to brush up on there. But that is a topic of interest. That's a topic of conversation. So we'll brush up on that.
Who
But
did they
I'll tell
show?
you why.
Feel
What was
free to
it, Matt
interject.
Murdock?
Matt Murdock, Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
When
were
they
cheering for that part.
introduced Daredevil.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
Have you not seen the Netflix series of him?
No, I
Oh,
knew
see,
who he
that's
was. I'm like,
why.
oh yeah. But
You
then I looked
sh-
at John because John's like, I don't know who the hell that is. And then I was like, that's Daredevil. But it
yeah,
wasn't.
you
Uh,
should watch the
yeah.
Netflix show because I actually think you would enjoy it. It's actually really dark. It's actually really well done.
Yeah, it's
Like
very
really,
dark. It's
That's
really
what
very
well
they say
done.
good.
about the Punisher. I don't
Punisher is
really
also
want
The
really good.
Punisher's also really good. Yeah, the first season, the second
Yeah,
season,
to.
but the
Carry
first
on.
season,
yeah,
Carry
really
on.
good. All right,
because
Shane.
their fight scenes are amazing. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
No, because it was just it was like because any kind of iteration that they've done of like Daredevil, like Ben Affleck, whatever. This is like a great version of Daredevil. Like the like if you ever seen the show, the backstory and the depth that they gave the character, the suit, which is very high quality, like at par with like MCU. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I do hope they do a whole overhaul of like their version of it because I'd love to see something new. But like it was a great reveal because obviously we knew Kingpin was in Hawkeye, so the same actor. So it was like about like we were expecting Daredevil to be in the MCU. We weren't sure if he was gonna make a cameo. That
Mm-hmm.
was a solid cameo.
Mhm.
And like just the scene where like the brick flew in and he's like
Mm-hmm.
caught it, like it was like
Yeah,
classic Daredevil shit.
That was cool
And
because
that was pretty cool.
we now realize that Daredevil's senses are actually just on par with Spider-Man's senses.
oh, for sure,
So
yeah, because it was like he
Mhm.
caught it before Spider-Man could,
yeah, but
but
he
their
still
hands were in the same
reacted.
place.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's actually like insane to see how crazy Daredevil's senses are compared to
yeah.
Spider-Man's, which is really cool.
And just the
But
thought of
I told you though, like
what?
the Daredevil, there wasn't gonna be any after credit with Daredevil. Told you.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did. You
it
said
was
it.
it was much more minor than we thought, and it was like
Yeah.
honestly, it was but just the idea of now imagining Daredevil and Spider-Man in the same New York,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
because it's like because a lot of heroes are based in New York, but like they don't do like we don't see crossovers in the movies,
Mm-hmm.
but like in the
Yeah.
comics, it's constantly crossovers, because they're practically blocks away from each other and stuff like that. And like that, and that seems like how do they not run into each other more often, kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Mhm.
my hope is that any future movies we will see those kind of crossovers, just even if it's short cameos or whatever. Like I'm hoping for that. But like my all-time favorite scene from No Way Home was when they were all on top of the Statue of Liberty,
Yep.
and they were just talking. They were
Oh
just
yeah,
talking.
the about the webs. It was like,
Yeah,
yo,
they were talking
like
about the
where
webs
does
because it
your
was.
webs come out of
I
your wrist, but
hope
where
to
does it come
God.
out of anywhere else?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I was the entire time when I saw when Tobey Maguire was there with Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. I was like, please talk about the webs. Please
Yeah,
talk about
that
the
was
webs.
so
I was
good.
like, because I remember like when Tobey Maguire's movie came out, I was like, what?
Hmm.
They're making his webs come out of his skin? That's fucking weird. That's not
There was a
accurate.
comic
Yeah.
adaptation of it. Yeah, there
Yeah,
was some adaptation
there's
of it. There.
that's the thing. Yeah, they do like there's a bunch of different ones. They pull from different things.
Hmm.
But I was like, that's not like
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird. But then we've seen Andrew Garfield's and Tom Holland's, and we know that they have mechanical webs. So it was like, are they
Hmm.
gonna address it?
Yeah,
And
they.
when
Yeah.
they addressed it, and they were just talking, and it was just so
I knew
casual.
that
Yeah,
was gonna
Where it's
happen.
like
yeah,
Yeah.
all
yeah, yeah.
three Peter Parkers were just casually like talking but getting to know each other. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like, what did you go through as a Spider-Man?
Yeah,
And it was like,
I
what
love
was
the
your toughest
scene.
villains?
I love the scene where it's like, yeah, I fought an alien both in here and in space, and then Toby was like, yeah, I fought an alien, and Andrew's like, I want to fight an alien.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I'm
know.
I'm lame. He was like, I'm lame.
Yeah, and then when he was like,
Like
"You're
you guys are
amazing,
like,
you're amazing, you're
yeah,
really amazing," I
yeah.
love
Yeah.
that part. I was like, "Thanks, I
They
really
kept
needed to
on
hear
saying
that.
that.
I
That was
don't
good
see
stuff."
like ah, when we talk about Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in the movie, like it just reminds me like if it wasn't for those two, I wouldn't like the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
true.
they absolutely made the movie. Some people thought
Yeah.
that like if they appeared in the movie, it was gonna be like small cameos like Daredevil, but they had actual
They had
roles.
such a big
They were
part.
Yeah, they
support.
had the
They were
second half.
supporting
It
characters.
was important to
Yeah,
actually push Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man as the character that he is now,
yeah.
That
which I actually really
that
appreciated.
scene that scene though, it was kind of like funny. I was laughing when Tobey Maguire when they were on the what is it, this college building, one of the building that they were at,
Mm.
where Tom Holland was like reflecting
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
like being sad and stuff like that. And then they were explaining the thing, and Toby was saying some stuff. It's like, yeah, I lost Uncle Ben. Like, I about the robber, and he ended up killing the robber. But the way he did it, the way he was like in position, it was
Yeah.
like Batman talking. I
Hmm.
was like,
It
It
was
seemed
very
like Batman.
stoic
He was a
and
Bruce
like
Yeah,
Wayne.
the
yeah.
lighting and everything.
That
Yeah,
was like
that,
a
yeah.
really cool scene. It was like it was really like it felt like big brothers that he needed,
Hmm.
and my favorite thing because I've always loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. He was always been my favorite Spider-Man actually, and because like the thing is like I always loved about him is his banter, his quips, and like all of his like just nonsense, whatever. And it feels more freeing, like how Spider-Man tends to banter and like make jokes while
Hmm.
like is supposed to be to hide his actual fear kind of stuff. So he does all that, and like I thought Andrew Garfield always played that really well. And his portrayal in of that in this movie, where like when they all kind of recollected each other after like their sort of failed attempt, they were like, okay, new plan of trying to like
Oh yeah.
teamwork. Yeah, new plan. And
Mm.
then like Andrew Garfield kind of like huddles around them. He's like, guys, I just want to let you know, I love you guys. And they both, Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire, is like,
Thanks.
okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah.
I'm like,
That shit was
bro,
funny.
I've never related to a scene in my life. I feel like because you guys know this, I do that entirely to you guys, and like that's the exact response I get, and I'm like, bro, I get it.
That was funny. Yeah.
That was a beautiful moment. Like I said,
Oh, it was great.
the comedy moments that they choose, it's beautifully like it was great. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
they're in the middle of a very serious moment, but they gave us like this little lighthearted little joke, and it didn't make the scene worse. It made the scene enjoyable.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it,
But
it
that's
was
the
it
thing
was
though with
definitely good.
Spider-Man, like, cause that's Spider-Man personality is always
Yeah,
being like, this funny comic relief superhero during any
yeah,
moment, whether it's serious or whatever it is. So that was a good throwback of the
yeah.
cartoons and stuff like that. I enjoyed that.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
And then like I feel like Adam's gonna have this in his review, so I'm just gonna let. I'm good with mine. My number is still a solid 9. You know what
Okay.
I mean? So Adam, get into yours.
All right, here's the deal. I'm about to trash this movie. Even though I gave it like I gave it a 9, but I have problems with this movie, and this is why I was a little upset. So I still give this
Okay.
movie a 9. I loved the movie. I loved the cameos. I loved Andrew and Toby being back. This was 20 years in the making. I was 8 years old when I first saw the first Spider-Man movie. And to be 8 and now I'm 28, and to see everything come back full circle, I feel like this is definitely a movie that Stan Lee would be proud of. And it's so good to see the OGs and just everything come back into one big movie, and to have Marvel implement all of this stuff, because you get so emotional. People love Tom Holland. People love Tobey
Mhm.
Maguire. People love Andrew Garfield. But now it's just you have every fan group, Tobey Maguire's
Hmm.
fans, Andrew Garfield, and Tom's all coming together in one movie, and it was just it was very well made, but I just feel like it was rushed, and that's why I felt unemotional for some scenes. It felt like sometimes they were just trying to do things because they felt like the audience wanted to see this. Like, for example, Andrew Garfield catching Zendaya. It was a great scene, but I feel like they did that because they know that the fans wanted to see that. You know what I mean? They wanted
Yeah.
fans to see, like Willem Dafoe. They wanted fans to see all this other stuff. So they were doing things to expect it, because they were pertaining to like the wants and needs of the audience, and I felt like it could have been a little bit better. But um I loved the banter between the three Spider-Men. I always just love how the comedy can go into this, and you have all three different personalities. You had Tobey Maguire's personality, where he was like nerdy but also kind of funny at the same time. But this time he was kind of dark. He was basically just like, yeah, I had
Mhm.
I had
Very.
I had a
But
best, yeah,
he was more of like the older brother.
he was. But then he
Yeah,
was like,
he was
he was
He
like,
had
so
weathering an
what
fun.
happened?
experience.
He did, but he was like, yeah, I had a best friend that tried to kill me once. And then like this happened, and he tried to kill me too, and now he's
Ned.
dead. And I'm like, and Ned's like, don't worry, I promise I'm not gonna like be a friend and like try and kill you. But anyway,
Foreshadowing
yeah,
like a
exactly.
motherfucker.
So here's the thing. Um The banter between the three of them was great. The web jokes were awesome. I loved how he was just like, yo, so like the webs come out of your wrist, but like, do they come out anywhere else? Like all that kind of stuff. Like those jokes were really funny. They actually did the pointy thing. You know that meme where the three Spider-Man kind of point to each other?
Did they?
They did it.
I was looking for that. I
it
don't
was
remember.
it was very, very casual, subtle. It was during the scene where they were
In
all
the lab.
It was in the lab, and when he said Peter, and all three of them responded, and he was like the other Peter, the
Okay,
Peter.
yeah.
They all actually pointed to each other and were like, "We're all
Yeah.
Peter," and kind of stuff. And I loved that. It's a small,
good
tiny
catch.
thing, yeah. And other
Yeah.
catches, actually, fun fact before I get into my actual review. Fun fact: they actually paid tribute to Stan Lee in this movie. In the scene where Doc Ock was actually introduced during that highway scene, and all the cars were being kind of totaled and stuff, there was a taxi in the background, and that taxi's number was 1228, and that's actually Stan Lee's birthday. So it's little subtle things like that, where it's very like crazy how they go into such detail with the movie. The love interest in Spider-Man Homecoming, the black chick, I don't remember her name, the daughter of Vulture, she was actually in a magazine cover in the magazine stand that like, you know, in the fight scene between Doctor Strange and Peter Parker. She was in the nightstand. There was a row of her face, and it was like Time magazine or something. And apparently, I didn't see this. I saw this on like TikTok. Apparently, it said something like he's a liar. So she's even calling him a liar after everyone found out that Tom Holland was Spider-Man. But like Andrew said earlier in the thing, I just felt like they were going to do so much more with the reveal of Peter Parker. There is a huge comic storyline with this. There's a huge animated storyline with this where people find out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And I was expecting violence. I was expecting him to be hunted down. I was expecting him to be
all of his villains chasing him
villains
down.
and chasing him down. I was expecting maybe like Aunt May, Zendaya being attacked by a previous villain. I was expecting like so much more. There could have been graffiti being like put out to him, calling him like a murderer, like more stuff.
Did,
like they did it, but it was short.
It was there.
Yeah,
It
but
was
it was
just
like
short.
small.
They called him murderer.
It was over.
Yeah,
That's basically what it was.
That was really it. But I wanted. So I think this would have been a lot better of a movie if it was
Spidey
broken.
slurs.
Well, I wanted it to be broken out into two parts. So because this movie I feel like had so much information in it that it could have been so good if it was broken into a two-parter, and then we could have focused on maybe the first half of the movie was literally Tom being hunted down, being like hunted for being Peter, and then the second half was being like the repercussions of what happened, like why he wanted to be changed back to Peter and all that kind of stuff. And I just felt like it was just really rushed. I felt cheated out of Charlie Cox. So here's why. So my man's Charlie Cox came back for this movie, and he was in there for like 20 seconds. And Peter was in jail. He was arrested, being interrogated by police officers. I was hoping that Charlie Cox would be introduced there, and he would walk into the door and be like, "Peter, don't say anything else to these, to these people. Like, we got to talk." But literally, all that happened was he was sitting at the table. He was very quickly introduced, caught a brick, and that was the end of it. We did not see him anymore. And I was expecting to see more of him because he's such a pivotal character. And even though I know you're just introducing him so that you can put him into other stuff, but I just wanted a little bit more. Because it just seemed like he was just thrown in there and been like, okay, you say this and then you're done, and now we're going to put you in like Echo. You know what I mean? So I just felt like that could have been better portrayed, because Charlie Cox, I felt like he was anticipated. Everyone wanted him in the movie, and it just felt like it was so overhyped that it just didn't work out very well. So I was very sad about that. I was upset about Aunt May's death. And the reason as to why I was upset about Aunt May's death is because I felt like Aunt May was such a pivotal character in this. I mean, she's literally Aunt May. That is Peter Parker's mom, pretty much. You know?
Yeah, the thing is like, because they didn't have in Uncle Ben, they gave Aunt May the role of an Uncle Ben,
the role,
which is why they gave her the important line.
I understand that, but the fact of the matter is, I just felt like that movie, the scene wasn't shot as good as it could have. I even thought that the acting wasn't even that great. Like Aunt May dying, like it wasn't that emotional. It wasn't like it was because it was rushed. It felt
technically
really rushed.
It didn't seem like she was aware that she was dying.
Yeah.
No, I understand that, but like it's still like you could have done so much more with this because it's
Yeah,
like
they could have. The
you're a big
director, yeah.
you're a big character. You deserve a bigger death. And the fact that she just got bitch slapped by fucking Green Goblin's flight thing, and then a brick fell on her, and then she said the with great power comes great responsibility, all that kind of crap. And then she just like laid there, and then Peter was like, "Oh, it's okay. Like you're just you're tired." And then she bled, and then she died. And then we felt cheated more because the police came and they were going to shoot everyone and he had to run away. I just felt like there could have been more to that death, and it just felt a little over like rushed, and it was underhyped, and it just wasn't doing it for me, and it made me sad because
You know what it was?
Yeah.
Like for that thing, it's because like the whole situation happened. I felt like I was still in the moment where I'm blaming her for the situation because she was
yeah,
the
because she
main
was the one
reason
who
why Tom
convinced him.
Holland. Yeah. So like I was still hating her. Next thing you know, her death just happened out of nowhere. I'm like, what
Yeah,
the fuck
it
just
was
happened?
just
Yeah. So I
like I said,
couldn't
it
really.
happened so
Yeah.
fast.
Hmm.
The other thing that I was really upset about was the introductions to the villains. First of all, not even a Sinister Six. It was Sinister Five. There was no Sinister Six. That pissed me off. Where the hell is the sixth villain? So that upset me. And the other thing is, Doc Ock and Green Goblin were the most hyped and biggest intros and entrances in the whole thing. But after their intro, Doctor Strange gave him a gauntlet that can catch all these people. Freaking Lizard was already caught, so there's one down. Then you have Doc Ock who's caught, and now he has to catch all the other ones. You throw Electro and Sandman in the same scene, which, by the way, was poorly acted. And not only that, but now Electro is a completely different person. He's not that shy, pissed off person that he was
Yeah,
in
he
Andrew
wasn't.
Garfield's thing. He was like this cocky, funny, like more like Jamie Foxx acting kind of guy, and that kind of upset me too because we're not even seeing the full portrayal of how the villains really were in the original movies. They're completely different people, and even the
Well, I think
Sandman, like literally,
because well, for
okay,
the Electro one, I think it's because like he had this buff body
yeah.
now.
Well, he had a
Yeah, so
different
he
kind of
has confidence.
electricity, so like he had more confidence, and I
You know,
get that. But like,
if
it
you
just
guys think about it, I don't know if anyone noticed this, but like because the people that got pulled into Tom Holland's universe is everybody that knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
yes,
I don't remember if Electro ever found out. Did he ever find out that Peter Parker was
he
Spider-Man?
did. I believe he did because when
Because
he was introduced with Hobgoblin, Hobgoblin told him that he was Peter Parker.
Yeah.
wait, Hobgoblin was. Oh, I forgot about him in
Yeah.
that movie.
So he found out that
Okay.
Peter was actually Spider-Man, and then he told Electro, and he said, "I want you to kill Peter Parker for me."
Yeah.
So he found out that way. But the thing is, it just felt like I was upset because I was expecting a more hyped, bigger villain entrance for every villain because they were all, OG villains, and to have them like literally, Electro showed up, he shot a couple of lightning bolts, and then he was caught, and then Sandman was caught in a dumb way because Sandman was like, "Hey, I just helped you, but now I don't trust you," and bam, caught. So like, he was caught. Like it was just so underplayed, like underhyped. These people were caught in like 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh yeah, we died." The funny part was when Jamie Foxx's Electro was like, "Yeah, I was about to go into pure electricity," and then, "Oh shit, yeah, I was gonna die," and like. That was funny. Like the funny scene. He was
the
funny. I'll give him that. But he
that
was just a
scene
completely
and like
weird person.
because the random funny scenes, right? Do you remember when when Electro had that conversation with Sandman
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about how each other got powers?
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "Oh, I fell into a vat of electric eels." It's like, "Oh, I fell into something collider
Yeah,
and stuff."
sand
And it was like,
collider.
"Wow, you really gotta like, we really gotta
Watch
watch
where you
where we
step.
fall."
Yeah,
I
that was
was
funny.
like, "What?"
It was good. It was
I mean,
very
that's
Yeah.
true.
funny stuff. But the thing is, like I said, it just wasn't to me. It wasn't like I don't know. It just wasn't. It was underhyped for that kind of that part. The other
The
thing
villain
that kind
aspect,
of
I agree. Yeah, they weren't
yeah,
a threat.
they weren't.
The threat of the movie was the multiverse expanding, right? Like the whole thing. That was the main threat. But the
Yeah.
villain, they were just there. Yeah.
So then that upset me. What else upset me? Because there were things that just it really did upset me, and
A
I was just
whole
kind of
list.
You know what's
upset.
funny? Like the score I gave would match what Adam is doing right now,
I know. That's what
But the
I'm
thing is,
saying.
and like
like I
my
I
said,
don't know how
reaction
he
to
gave
how
it a
I explain it.
9.
So,
Sound like a 9.
like I said though, because I love Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Oh, and I wish Tobey Maguire. So I like the way that they were introduced, but part of me wishes that it was different. Part of me wishes that
Yes,
they were
I
like
agree.
it's weird. I'm conflicted because I really like the way that they were introduced. I thought they went the comedy route, and that was cool. They gave everyone a moment to comprehend what was going on and see that they were introduced. But I would have honestly, I would have really liked it if like Tom is really like getting the shit beat out of him, and then all of a sudden Andrew just swings in and kicks them or something, and was like, "Oh, like hey buddy, like need some help or something," and like I would have been like,
Yeah.
"Wow,
What
that
I
was like so
that's
what
dope."
I
the,
thought was
I
gonna happen.
no,
Yeah. Yeah. What I thought was gonna happen. Which real quick going back to the Aunt May death thing, whatever it is, and another reason why I couldn't get completely sad because right after that we got Andrew Garfield,
Yeah,
so I couldn't really feel too much about anything. But anyways, they introduced Andrew Garfield. That was an amazing scene. I was hoping that they didn't show Tobey Maguire's yet, like right after, but they did, and I thought that was like kind of underwhelming for Tobey Maguire. They could have done it a bit different, but I do agree with you where kinda I wanted them to show Andrew Garfield, and then both of them go fight, and they're
mm,
both getting the ass kicked, and then Tobey Maguire comes in
that would be
and
pretty
saves
cool. Yeah, I didn't even think of
it.
it that
That
way.
would have been a better
because
thing.
that would have been like that definitely would have been a dope scene.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was because that's why I say like the roles that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire played were they actually were supporting characters, and the whole point is to build up and lead this new Spider-Man into this like better version of himself or this more adult self-aware version
Yep.
where like he needed the emotional growth. So like to do the reveal of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to Tom Holland, they needed to all share that moment, the death, each death that they all experienced, to all share the line
Mm-hmm.
with great power comes great responsibility
Mhm.
and the weight that it
Oh
carries.
yeah.
And I thought that was pivotal. You know, like I obviously the epic if they had came in during a fight scene would have been an absolute killer reveal,
Yeah.
absolute killer reveal. But the way that they tried to leave the tone, so that way at the end of the movie and how Tom Holland Spider Man uh, had to like learn from all his mistakes and understands the weight that he carries.
Mm-hmm.
And you see like, and especially the beautiful thing that I loved was at the end of the movie when Tom Holland created his spider suit himself
Oh
to
yeah.
resemble Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's
Mhm.
because they gave him this lesson, this inspiration, and this like memory that he wants to aspire to be those kind of Spider-Man. And I fucking love that.
So
That was
there are little
beautiful.
Yeah, that was
details
good.
that I appreciated, but there's also a
Yeah.
theory, real quick, going into that theory before I finish off my review and we get kind of into the more details of the movie. Um, there's actually a theory which I don't really like this theory and I don't understand how this would work, but there's a theory going around saying that the other reason as to why Tom built that suit or made his suit himself was because the Stark technology no longer recognizes that he's actually Peter Parker's Spider-Man because the suit doesn't
Yeah,
recognize.
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah.
But here's what
Oh
pisses me
He
off.
wow.
doesn't know
That's
anymore.
true.
Yeah.
Right, but here's what pisses me off. How can technology forget a person? So Doctor Strange made a forgetful spell on people to forget
Yeah.
that
Well, the
Peter
thing
is
is, I kind
Spider-Man.
of so I this is why like I hate Marvel. Also, it's like people just ignore these things. But I'm glad that you brought it up because that one other thing I thought about is like, well, you only made people forget the name, but all the newspaper and
Yeah.
J.K.
All
Simmons
the media
reveal and all that
footage
stuff.
and
All
stuff
that
like
stuff
that.
is in the media.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
funny
like
because there was actually TikToks and memes of this where it's just like, yo, Zendaya forgot that Peter is Spider-Man, but like all Zendaya has to do is just look at her phone and probably see a screenshot of like the two of them like cuddling and stuff. And then she'd be
yeah.
I
like,
So
who
it's
the
know.
not
fuck is
even
this
just
person?
like it's not even just technology. It's literally everything that happened. But
Yeah.
I think that multiverse thing it probably changed a lot of things, a lot of other things.
But the
So.
thing is, technology had Peter Parker's DNA. In order for the Stark
Mhm.
suit to work, it needed to recognize Peter Parker's DNA in the suit. That was the only way that the suit would activate. And it activated on voice command, it activated on a lot of stuff. So there's files. The computer has Peter's DNA, the computer has Peter's information, and the computer should know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Yet, for whatever reason, it doesn't recognize that he is Peter. Like, I don't think that
So
theory really makes a lot of sense. I'm more
this is the only
working
thing that
on.
explains.
Oh, I was just real quick going to say, I'm more leaning on the theory that, like, Peter Parker is now all alone. He's in his own apartment. He's making his own money. He's doing his own stuff. He no longer has access to all this stuff because he no longer knows Happy, who's in charge of the Stark stuff. He no longer knows stuff like that. So now he has to move and get stuff on his own, which is why he made his own suit. And he's going back to his roots, where it's just like, this is me. It's just me. And I was going to go a little farther into that a little bit later. But that's what I appreciated. And I think that I'm really excited to see the next steps for Spider-Man, because we are going to see a more accurate portrayal of who Peter Parker's Spider-Man is. And it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
I will end my review by saying a couple of fun facts, but also my favorite scene. My favorite scene was when the three Spider-Men were kind of in the banter, but he was like, who's Spider-Man 1? I'm Spider-Man 1? I thought it was Spider-Man 2, like all that. But then like when they were like, and this is another thing that kind of I go on a little bit later, but when they all jumped off the platform and they were swinging together, and then one of the Spider-Men webbed the two Spider-Men, pulled them to the side, and then the three of them landed, and they landed in order of the Spider-Men. Tobey Maguire landed first, Andrew Garfield landed second, and Tom Holland landed third. And I think that scene was just so well done. And I also like the slight intro or Spider-Man music. So when Tobey Maguire talked to Doc Ock, it was his original theme song played. And then you could hear it like slightly. His original theme song was played when he talked to Doc Ock. When Andrew Garfield talked to Electro, it was Andrew Garfield's intro song being played. You know what I mean? So it was like
even notice that.
really small little details like that. It was really, really cool. So that was my theory. That was my review. That's kind of what I thought about. But we can kind of go into little kind of things that I personally picked up and picked into this movie here. But first, what I also want to say,
real quick, like your review doesn't sound like a 9. Just reminding you.
So
It does
like
not
I said,
sound like a 9 at all.
this was just the movie without Tom and Toby and Andrew. But Toby and Andrew boost that up. Like if Toby and Andrew weren't in this movie, it would probably be like a 7. But because Toby and Andrew are in this movie, I'm giving this a 9. Because the nostalgia part, just oh my god, like I said, 20 years in the making. I was 8 years old. You know what I mean? So it's to see this as I'm growing up and I'm seeing them grow up. It was just it ended this off, and I really hope to see more of this, which leads me back to my next thing, which is Kevin Feige actually already confirmed a Spider-Man 4. Because in the
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4?
No, Tom Holland Spider-Man 4.
So
he already confirmed Spider-Man 4, and the reason why he did this so early after the Spider-Man No Way Home release was because he didn't want separation anxiety like the last Spider-Man. Because after the second Spider-Man was the whole drama between Sony and Marvel, and the whole like thing about Sony pulling Spider-Man from Marvel, and they were going to do their own direction, and people were freaking out. And then there was the whole like Tom Holland might not even be Spider-Man anymore. So that whole drama, Feige was actually kind of concerned that was happening again. So he announced Spider-Man 4. The writer of Spider-Man 4, that woman, I don't remember the woman's name, she announced that the Spider-Man 4 is going to be even more emotional than Spider-Man 3, and that they're already thinking of ways to outdo this movie. So I don't know what the hell they have planned for Spider-Man 4, but they have some crazy ass shit planned for Spider-Man.
What is 4. I wouldn't even know how they could possibly, because all of his deep ties are gone, like Aunt May,
no,
Ned,
we can have a lot more. There could be some drama.
I mean, because and then also it's things, right? So it's like, how do you follow this movie? You did a multiverse story that had 2 other Spider-Men from cinematic universes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you got to cameo the fuck out of this next movie with pure superheroes to make it even remotely better.
Speaking
Like, cause
of
and then this
No,
movie
cameos,
also
no,
attempted a Sinister Six.
attempted.
No, they,
because
yeah,
I
they,
think what can be as big as this movie is definitely symbiote Spider-Man with
Oh,
Tom
that'd be
Holland.
cool.
it's,
Obviously,
I mean, that would be great. It's like, yeah, that'll be a great storyline, but I mean, like we've had an attempt at symbiote Spider-Man in the first Tobey Maguire one. We have a
and it
Venom
made a lot of
story.
money.
So yeah, but we have a Venom story, which is a whole symbiote based one. So it's like we're familiar with the whole symbiote thing, but it's to make it dramatic enough and action packed enough and like intriguing enough. I'm like, I feel like they got to go a little extra, but I don't know what the extra could be. Because like that's those things would make a fitting movie.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but a better movie,
I
I
think
don't
we
know.
just gotta wait and see. But those were just little fun
Yeah,
facts that I actually um, found out there. But going into the actual movie itself, can we just quickly talk about how they hinted at Miles Morales again? The
Yeah,
scene. Oh yeah, the
foreshadow.
scene,
yeah,
and
with Electro.
they've been foreshadowing Miles Morales in every Spider-Man movie so far. The first Spider-Man movie, they had his uncle. The second, I feel like they foreshadowed it somehow. And here with the Electro conversation with Andrew, it was funny but also hinted, where he was laughing and he was like, "Yeah, like I was expecting you to be black." And then Andrew was like, "Sorry to disappoint," or something like that. But then he was just like, "Ah, there's got to be a black Spider-Man somewhere." You know what I mean? And that I'm like, they're getting it ready. They're getting it built up, and eventually Miles is going to come. And I feel like Miles can even come in the fourth movie. You know, he could definitely show up. And I love that they introduced that, or like they're still kind of introducing a Miles and like kind of getting people prepped and ready for that. So just a little
Because
thing.
it's because I feel like they're taking so long to like build up to it because he should because there is an age gap and he should be still just a little kid and shouldn't be experiencing the whole Spider-Man thing yet. Because from every iteration that I've seen where Miles Morales meets um, like Spider-Man, Spider-Man should be a full-grown adult
Hmm.
or whatever. And like if they when they finally and this is my idea, right? That when they finally introduce Miles Morales is at the end of Tom Holland's contract
They could.
because then it was because then it'll give him a replacement, and then that could also be preparation or like set up for Young Avengers. You know what I mean?
I could
It could
definitely
all
see
line
it.
up that way.
I mean, Tom Holland already did say in an interview that he would like to see a light up where, Miles Morales is given the flag per se or handed the baton,
Hmm.
and that, he doesn't want to be Spider-Man forever. So these three solo movies might actually be his last. And then
Yeah,
he'll kind of pass it on to Miles,
yeah, because
whoever plays Miles.
he already does want he wants to leave, or he knows that he doesn't want to stay in this role forever,
Hmm.
and like that, which is very expected,
Yeah,
for like
yeah.
his career. But like, if there were to be ever a way to properly leave a role, passing it on to a younger and very able like successor, perfect.
Oh yeah.
You know, I would
So
love to see that.
so that was one of the things there. Now, the reason as to why, personally, I have some theories, and this is kind of gonna lead up into the theories here. But I think one of the reasons as to why I feel like Andrew doesn't really like Tom Holland's Spider-Man as much is because he hasn't seen the past movies that involve Spider-Man, as far as Tom Holland's Spider-Man, with like the cameos that he made, like
Yeah,
Avengers,
like Civil
all that kind of stuff,
War
Civil
and
War.
all that.
So my thing is, and it showed it in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, I think Tom Holland did a fantastic job as far as like stuff like this goes because we've seen, like I said before, we've seen 6 movies where Tom Holland has been a child this entire time. He has
Hmm.
received help this entire time. When he split the boat in half, Iron Man was there to save the boat. You know what I mean? So it's like his actions had consequences, but those
Yeah,
consequences weren't very like
the
received.
responsibility wasn't fully his.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
he was saved by that responsibility and those consequences because people were there to save him and help him. And even in Endgame, he was blipped. Like he came back, he fought. Yeah, he dealt with some aliens and stuff like that, but it's not that crazy. The first movie, he made mistakes, but he corrected them. He learned from them. Second movie, He was still learning to kind of produce his powers. He had the whole spider sense thing going on. Third movie, he tries to save everyone. And this is the first time where he can't. And this is the first time that like his decision consequently killed another person that he cared about, and that was on May. And so now you see him develop in rage, and he almost kills Green Goblin. And that whole scene was amazing because the whole thing with like so it goes into Andrew Garfield. So Andrew Garfield was like, he gave that whole speech where he's like, I lost my Gwen. He was she was my MJ. And he was like, at some point you get rage and regret and disappointment. And at some point I found that I stopped holding back my punches, which just goes to show how strong Spider-Man is. And Tom Holland was holding his punches back, but you see him not holding his punches when he was beating the crap out of Green Goblin.
Yeah.
And he was going for, like, even just, he jumped up, he punched, and he dented the metal. And it's like,
the shield.
he is so strong. People don't understand the strength of Peter and Spider-Man.
He constantly holds back his strength.
He
doesn't kill.
But there's so
That's
much
what it is.
character development in this, because this was literally 1 second. This could have changed the course of Spider-Man. If he killed Green Goblin, he would have turned into something completely different. But the fact that Tobey prevented that from happening saved Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And he grew and he learned and he found out. He's like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Like, I'm not going to kill him. And fun fact, Tobey Maguire was actually supposed to die in that scene, apparently. Reports were saying. And apparently the writers changed that up and they reshot that scene because they loved the banter between the three Spider-Men so much, and they were having so much fun with introducing different variants of characters, especially like in Loki, they introduced different versions of the characters. In Spider-Man, they brought it back. They brought OG characters that they actually want to continue. They even said it themselves that they want to have more fun with the multiverse. So reports are actually saying, and rumors are going around, that Andrew Garfield is going to have a third solo movie for his Spider-Man, and they want both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back for a Secret Wars. And that is going to be a whole big comic thing in itself, a big movie. They haven't necessarily announced it just yet, but Secret Wars might actually be coming, and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire might actually be a part of that, which I think is really cool. And I love the fact that, like, Tobey and Andrew, they're getting like redemption. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we just haven't gotten that closure, but they're coming back and it's just going to be fantastic. They're bringing different versions of this whole thing. But now we see, Tom grew. He made the sacrifice of having everyone forget who he is, even Zendaya and Ned. And we are now seeing Tom Holland alone for the first time in his life. And not just like alone without, other superheroes, like alone. Literally no one. No Aunt May, no MJ,
no one remembers
no
them,
Ned,
no one knows
no
he exists.
Happy. He's just himself. And we're going to see OG Spider-Man finally. No technology suit, just a regular fabric suit. He's just going to be him fighting crime, fighting villains. And I think this is where we're finally going to start to see the OG Spider-Man, the Spider-Man that's in the comics, the accurate Spider-Man, and him kind of growing into the adult that he is, because now he's in college and he's going to see the struggles. He's going to do this. He's going to want to do everything like that. But now he's like a man and he's matured into the Spider-Man that he's supposed to be. And I actually really liked that direction of the whole thing. Now, my theory going into now that everyone is forgetful, MJ and Ned are both going to MIT. And now they forget who Spider-Man is. In Boston. They're gone. They're no longer in New York. Spider-Man is...
Real quick, though, that scene made everyone in the theater laugh. Where it's like, there's no crime in Boston, right?
Yeah, everyone... I died. I actually laughed. I thought that was very funny. And then he was like, nah, there's wicked crime. I was like, that was good. It was good, the little banter that they have. But they're both going to be in Boston. Tom's not going to be in Boston. Spider-Man is going to stay in New York. He's going to fight crime. He's going to go to school in Boston, and he's going to keep on doing what he wants to do in Boston. So my theory is now they have the literal flexibility of introducing new love interests and new characters. And those two characters that I'm specifically thinking of is Gwen Stacy's Spider Gwen and Felicia Hardy's Black Cat. And I think that these two love interests have the biggest potential to actually be a part of these new movies. And I think it's gonna be so much more. They can also introduce, and I was talking with Rolly earlier today. He actually made a point that what's her name? Is it Silk? Silk was in these movies. Silk was in the first
What?
movie. She's
Who's
played
Silk?
I don't remember her name and I don't even know who she is, but she was very quick. But apparently she was in that elevator scene in the first movie with everybody. She's like that Asian girl. Apparently that's Silk. I didn't freaking know that. So Silk has been in all of these movies. She just hasn't been Silk.
Yeah, these subtle like
Subtle things.
That's the thing I love about the MCU. They go into in depth to comic book accuracy stories and story arcs where they involve these characters and stuff like that that you wouldn't expect. Like they're just like opening up the universe,
Right.
and like Spider-Man itself can have the entire can carry the entire MCU for all I know. Like
He probably could.
there's so much stories in there, so much characters that is so worth watching.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You would never have heard of them, but their stories are amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of it.
So I think that would be really cool to introduce those people into the movie, and I think that it has such a. I think that's the direction that they're actually thinking about going. So that could be really, really, really cool.
Mhm.
Next thing that I actually wanted to bring up was the scene where Doctor Strange was talking about how everything exploded, and Green Goblin actually blew up the box, and then the multiverse was actually opening. So everyone from every universe that ever knew who Peter Parker was, Spider-Man, was starting to come into their world. We started to see outlines of other villains. Some of those villains included Scorpion, Rhino, and
Yeah.
my favorite one is oh god, Craven the Hunter.
Craven the Hunter.
Craven the Hunter was the guy with the spear, and it's already been announced that Quicksilver from the second Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, the guy who played Quicksilver, which is Andrew Taylor Johnson, is going to be Craven the Hunter. And we can see Craven the Hunter possibly being introduced into the fourth Spider-Man or in any other things and be introduced in the Spider-Man movie later on. So I think that that's
so
really
weird
cool.
to recast a dead character because like I feel like if they ever had a crossover where Scarlet Witch saw him, like they like because they addressed like multiversal shit and like it's like you look a lot like my brother. I feel like they're gonna say something like that scene at some point. That just seems weird to me.
So
Like
yeah, I don't even know. But yeah, so that was really just a quick little thing that I thought was really interesting, how he's going to be back for Craven the Hunter and just those little outlines. Those are really cool. What I also like, the one of the last things, I don't really have much more personally for me to kind of talk about, but we'll talk about other stuff too, is now I talked about how Tobey Maguire is, and Andrew Garfield is possibly coming back. So my thing is, because they're saying that these guys will actually be back in future movies, I'm going to make a prediction right now. So remember this, the Comic Nerds episode 7, I'm predicting that Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man is in Morbius. And here's why.
that would be good.
Yep. So here's why. Hear me out. So the Green Goblin, when he was in this movie, he was at the shelter talking to Aunt May. He mentioned that there is no Oscorp in Tom Holland's universe.
Mhm.
So that's already confirmed, no Oscorp. So there's no Octavius, or not Octavius, but Osborn. There's no Harry Osborn yet. There's no Osborn. There's no Oscorp in Tom Holland's universe. In the Morbius trailer, there was a building in there, and it was the Oscorp building. And it was what looked to me the Oscorp version building from Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man. So now we have Andrew Garfield's version of Oscorp building in this movie. I think that he is going to be portrayed in this movie. They put Spider-Man on the wall, and we see Michael Keaton. So my theory is, if everyone was going into Tom Holland's universe that knew Spider-Man was Peter Parker from other universes, who's to say that the people who are already in this universe accidentally slipped out into other people's universe because they also knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man? But it's the opposite. You know what I mean? So everyone was trying to already go into Tom Holland's universe because they were in other people's universe and they were being attracted to Peter Parker, right? But the people who are already in this universe that knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, they could have gone to other people's universe because it works as a two-way door. So anyone in that universe already could have accidentally been teleported out to go into other people's universes.
Well,
That they thought, you know,
the way that Doctor Strange
It's a
made
stretch,
the
but-
spell, yeah, the spell was that everyone forgets Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but it was where the spell originated was what pulled the attraction like a magnet.
yeah, I
That should
guess.
have been what it was. But like, so I mean, because my concept, because of what I was trying to figure out, because Michael Keaton's character in Morbius is like he seems to be familiar with who Morbius is as the Doctor and stuff, and like this will like I was confused. I'm like, how are they gonna do this multiversal thing? Like that must be Tom Holland's Vulture, but then like the reality is that it's a multiverse story. There can be multiple of vultures throughout the
There could.
multiverse,
You're right.
and it could just be Michael Keaton from that multiverse.
Imagine it was
And
Michael
but
Keaton's
then it's
Batman.
like, oh, that'd be weird. But it's like
Crossover.
I don't know. What's the point in a way? Like, do they put him in there to tease, to make us think that the multiverse happened over there, or like, is the Vulture gonna play a role? Is the Vulture gonna make an appearance at some point? Like, I don't get what was the purpose of having Michael Keaton in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, were they
Or-
trying
or
to
maybe-
mislead us?
But the thing is, they made a point to put him in the trailers, so I think that
Yeah.
there's got to be something, you know.
Maybe Morbius happened after No Way Home, and Adam's theory is right, and Vulture went to Morbius universe.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't be in there for very long because when they reversed the thing and they fixed the problem, he would have been teleported back into
That's true.
Tom Holland's universe. But I don't know.
Does
It's-
he
Because I
still
don't
lock
think
up in
Andrew
jail?
Garfield's Spider-Man will be in Morbius anyways.
Yeah.
Because Morbius is in the same
I
thing with
think he is.
Venom, right?
Yeah,
And-
it's the
and
same reason
Venom-
Venom.
Yeah, and Venom,
Who-
like he has a sense of Spider-Man, don't he?
Yeah, but he
He would have
he's
recognized it
he would.
sooner.
Pretty sure he
Yeah.
was in Andrew Garfield. Yeah, that's true. I guess I don't know. That's
Well, I
just
mean,
my
like
theory.
it would have been a great like to have Andrew Garfield and Tom Hardy's characters be each other's, Spider-Man and Venom. I feel like that would have matched perfectly. Like the
Yeah, that
vibe of
would.
those two,
Seems
it
good.
would have been amazing.
I think there's
Like
still a
if
possibility
they aren't
of
gonna
having
do it,
that.
I hope they try. Yeah, I hope they try to do
Yeah.
it because like maybe they can explain
Sonyverse.
certain things. Yeah, the Sonyverse.
Yeah, they
Like
could have
if
the
they
Sony
gave
verse.
if Andrew Garfield is the main for the Sonyverse Spider-Man, like I'd be into that. Like
yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Like I don't even care if like I love Tobey Maguire, but like if they decide to make two separate movies
lot.
of
It's a
Spider-Man,
lot.
I will be so into watching it.
Oh, I'll watch
I'm
all
like-
of it. I don't even care.
Yeah.
So
want- Tobey Maguire, like I want him to be the Peter Parker for Miles Morales.
oh, that would be cool.
Like like from Into the Spider-Verse where the Spider-Man
Yeah.
like
So
yeah.
speaking of that, it's actually a really fun fact that I was actually going to mention. I totally forgot until now. Thank you for bringing it up. It was confirmed by the directors that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is actually Peter Parker from Earth 616. The same goddamn Earth as Peter
Tom Holland's,
which is the same Spider-Man as Spider-Man Into the Multiverse, Peter B. Parker, which is the Fat Spider-Man, which means that Tom Holland is Fat Spider-Man.
Oh, wait. Fat Spider-Man is 616?
Fat Spider-Man is 616.
They confirmed that?
They confirmed it. Yeah. They're the same goddamn Spider-Man, and that's what like blows my mind because at some point now we just know. Now we know what he turns out to as an adult. Tom Holland Spider-Man just becomes fat, and he becomes Fat
That
Spider-Man.
should not be accurate.
It's legit, and they also confirmed. Oh, we'll get into that later because we haven't introduced her yet. But yeah, they confirmed that he was Spider-Man from Earth 616. But this also kind of brings it up because now that we opened the multiverse, we could be having Spider-Man. What's his face? What is it? The Spider-Man that it goes through the multiverse. What's his Spider-Man Earth whatever? I'm sorry.
2099.
2099. Thank you. We can have him in this movies now because now they broke the multiverse, and he's in charge of the multiverse. You know what I mean? He goes through the multiverses, so he could go through the fourth one.
Spider-Man Noir. Like I want all of them.
Yeah. Bro. So I think that's what's going on there. So yeah. So that was really those were all of like my theories and all of my stuff that I wanted to personally talk about, other than just like cool parts of the movie, and just little like cameos or just things to kind of like talk about. Those are really it. I have a lot of stuff for the 2 end credit scenes that we need to talk about at some point, but yeah.
I feel like only one of them is worth talking about.
Yeah,
the other
that
one
was the only thing. That was the other thing that pissed me off. But if you wanted to keep talking about the movie, we can keep talking about the movie before we get into the end credit scenes. If there's something else that you guys wanted to kind of brush up on this movie here.
Nope, it's a 7.
Okay.
9.
So overall, to end this before we get into the end credit scenes. Overall, very well done movie, and I'm actually going to watch this again next week. And this is a very like ownable movie. I'm going to buy this movie.
I needed to watch it twice. Like I'm so happy that I had tickets back-to-back days because like I love that the crowd that I had were all like hyped up, cheering, like yelling and stuff. But like I was cheering so much, I felt like I was missing scenes. You know what I mean? And then I watched it again, and since like that second theater wasn't really vibing out like the way my first one was, I was like, I actually got to pay attention. I'm like, oh yeah, and like I felt like I felt the scene when Andrew Garfield caught Zendaya. Right, I felt it in the first when I watched it the first time. But when I watched that second time, and I was like, not right. It's like
knew it was gonna happen.
Being able to expect, knowing that it was gonna happen. I internalized it more, and I was like feeling it. I was like,
oh,
I needed that.
I forgot something that I wanted to bring up. First of all, just real quick, the banter. When Andrew Garfield was first introduced, and then freaking Zendaya threw bread at him, that was like and then the grandmother was like, "Yo, there's a cobweb in that corner. Can you like grab that cobweb?" So just things like that.
He was so smooth in that scene.
He was so smooth.
Yeah,
like, I'm telling you, like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was like the most Spider-like Spider-Man.
Yeah, but he was also like the most comic accurate as far as like banter and like just emotion and all that. So just that it was like so good.
I'm getting emotional now thinking about him.
But this is another thing. This is the reason as to why I feel like now we're starting to get the real Peter Parker out of Tom Holland. When they were up in that thing and they were arguing kind of, and they were like, "Oh, like I've never done this before." It just goes to show how different the other 2 Spider-Men were from Tom Holland, because Andrew was like, yeah, I've been working solo all of my life. Toby was like, yeah, I worked solo all my life. I've never been a part of a team. And then Tom was like, not to brag, I was a part of the Avengers, and like I was a part of the team my whole life. He hasn't had that opportunity to be solo Spider-Man yet. And so like Tom Holland
worked in reverse.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield and Toby had years of solo experience. They're the ones who had to learn all their stuff by themselves. They didn't have anyone to mentor them. They didn't have anyone to give them really cool tech suits. They had to build their own suit. They had to Andrew Garfield had to build his own web slingers. Toby just had to learn his thing, but they were alone by themselves. If they got the crap beat out of them, they got the crap beat out of them, and they had to get back on their feet and fix this. Tom had help. Tom got the crap beat out of him, and Iron Man would come running. You know what I mean? So it's like he learned, sure, but he learned, and it was never really 100% him. And that's why I
Yeah,
like
the space
that.
man.
That was like a
Yeah.
small little thing that I really appreciated, the fact that they brought that up there. But one of the things that I was actually going to mention, I forgot to mention, was this is one of the things that actually kind of pissed me off, but I understand a little bit better now. Um, was the acting. So I was going to say that the acting of some of the people were actually very disappointing. And two of them that I actually felt very uncomfortable, well, frustrated with, was the Lizard and Sandman. Those two people, I just thought that their acting just wasn't good. And it kind of frustrated me, but I found out why. And the reason as to why those two really pissed me off was because the actors who play Sandman and the Lizard actually had scheduling conflicts with this movie and the shooting of this movie. So they actually didn't shoot any of this movie in person. And all of their scenes were CGI'd. Every scene that the Lizard was a part of was CGI'd. Every scene that the Sandman was a part of was CGI'd. And there was actually scenes from the older movies taken and put into this movie. The part,
I kind of felt that. Yeah, I
yeah.
felt that.
So,
When Sandman turned back
yep,
human and he was
yep,
like about to disappear,
yes.
that gave me a vague memory of the first movie
Yeah,
or
Mhm.
from
the
the
third
first
movie.
franchise.
It's because
Yeah.
it was the
Yeah.
exact same scene actually. So fun fact,
Yeah.
when he changed, so
Wow.
when he
Makes sense.
changed, yeah, when he changed Sandman back into a human, when he was laying there and he was looking at his hand, that scene was taken directly from the third movie when they were in the sewer and evil Black Spider-Man threw him in the water. And you remember, watch the third movie, you'll see this
Yeah,
exact,
yeah, yeah.
when
Mhm.
he was wet sand and his hand started to fall apart, he was looking at his hand the same way. That was the exact scene. They just edited his hand to be growing back instead of falling apart from the water.
Yeah.
And everything else, and that's why throughout the whole movie they didn't actually show Sandman's face. He was just sand. He was just an outline of a
Yeah.
body. And it's because they couldn't shoot the thing. So what happens was they still really wanted to be a part of this movie, so the directors actually let them voice over the scenes. So that way the voiceovers was actually new material, but the scenes themselves were either taken
Yeah.
from the movies that they were previously in or all CGI'd, which is why every single scene that they were a part of was dark so that they can make the CGI
Yeah.
look more realistic. And that's why it pissed me off, because it didn't seem real to me. And it's so much different doing voiceovers versus the real thing. And that's where it's like, I could really tell the difference there. And it actually made a difference in how I felt during their acting, and I didn't like it. And I just felt like so many of the other people's, like even Happy's scenes, really weren't that great to me. Like it wasn't that good of an acting. It just wasn't like, I don't know. It just wasn't there. But the cool part
Mhm.
that I really appreciate is everyone forgot that Peter Parker existed, but everyone still remembers Spider-Man. And so when you were at the when they were at the grave for Aunt May, Happy goes up to Peter and was like, "How'd you know her?" And he said something and whatever, but then Peter says "you," and he goes through Spider-Man. So Happy knows Spider-Man. He just doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man now, which is kind of crazy to me. And that's the crazy thing now too, is Zendaya was still wearing the necklace that Peter gave her in the second movie. It was still on her neck when she forgot him in that end scene right there that Peter decided not to tell her. She was still wearing it. So there's
Mhm.
a theory going around saying that Zendaya actually now thinks that Spider-Man gave her the necklace, not Peter.
Oh.
And there's going to be, I think there's going to be a love quarrel. So I think that Zendaya will be back as MJ, but I also think that either Gwen or Felicia Hardy will be back, but there's going to be a love conflict because now Spider-Man
Mhm.
is torn, having feelings for this person, but also loves MJ. But we're also going to see MJ in love with Spider-Man. And I think Zendaya has a crush and is in love with Spider-Man, but doesn't know who Spider-Man is. And that's one of the other things. And one of the big things that we just forgot to mention, and I forgot to bring that up, and I'm going to bring it up right now. Ned. What the hell, guys? So Ned has magical powers. He had the gauntlet thing from Doctor Strange. And my theory is, and this is I think what they're going to gear this up for. I think they're gearing Ned to be Hobgoblin because
Yeah, but to give him the magic roll stuff and then still make him Hobgoblin, that's
Hobgoblin
Seems
had
weird.
Hobgoblin had a bit of magic.
Did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. So there was a comic
Gotta
book.
start brushing up
There
on
was
that.
a comic book or animated variant of Hobgoblin, and he was a little bit magical. He wasn't like crazy, but he had
Was
like
he using like a pouch?
yeah, he had like a little pouch and stuff, and like grenades and stuff like that. But he had magical
No, but it
powers.
was
I'm
like with
pretty
magic
sure.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
He was doing magic out of it.
I think what they're
That's
doing is
that's
they're
vaguely
gearing.
familiar.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're gearing him to be the more comic accurate version of Hobgoblin, and to give him magical powers like that, I think it's gonna be really important in the other movies, and I think they are gearing up for that. So that's my theory here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, it
yeah,
makes
it would
sense
make
because
sense.
I was
Yeah.
wondering how,
mhm.
because like they've always been best friends, and I was like, there's no way that he would betray Peter and become evil, and become Hobgoblin and stuff like that. I was like, there's no possible way to do that, because they're so fucking close. And but then when that whole memory wipe
Yeah.
came, I was like,
Now
oh
he
yeah,
doesn't
that's an easy
know.
solution.
This is
Yeah,
easy
like there
solution
is
to
no
get this
emotional
done.
connection.
hmm
Yeah,
So
bro. Seriously, if you ever have a problem that needs to be solved in a movie, throw magic at it.
pretty much,
It's like, oh well, this is the
I could
reason
use that.
why that's all weird. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
And
such an easy out.
with Peter,
Yeah.
with them not knowing that Peter is Spider-Man anymore, something throughout the last two movies actually could have happened where it affected Ned in a negative way. So now he doesn't like Spider-Man. So that there's a difference where it's like if something bad, like for example, let's say something bad happened to me, and I was pissed off about it, but I found out that Shane did it, I'd be less pissed off about it. You know what I mean? Let's just as an example. But like I'm saying, like let's say for example, like Shane accidentally scratched my car. Just accidentally. It was a little scratch, just a tiny scratch on my car. If I didn't know that that was Shane, I'd be pissed. But if Shane came up to me and told me, I'd be less pissed. And I'd be like, okay, well, it was an accident. Like, it's whatever. I know who you are. That's fine.
Yeah.
The fact that Ned
Oh,
no longer
true.
knows who Peter is, there could have been an incident that he remembers from Spider Man. But because he knew it was Peter, it's okay. Now that he doesn't know it was
I think
Peter, less forgiving. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
Ned's gonna like be in love with MJ, and then he's gonna find out that MJ likes Spider-Man, and then he's gonna hate Spider-Man.
could be
Oh,
something crazy like that. Who knows?
yeah.
But I think there are actually bigger possibilities now that he doesn't realize that Peter's actually
Yeah.
Spider Man. So that's actually really cool.
He's the Superman. He's gonna be the Superman in Marvel,
Mm.
like how in Batman vs Superman, how Superman keep getting blamed for everything and all that
Mhm.
stuff, and he,
Mhm.
I
So,
don't know.
so yeah. So long
I just miss Superman.
review here. Long review here to end off the review. I think it was a great movie. We're giving it a 7, a 9, and a 9, averaging out to about an 8, 8.5, which is a very high review for us, which is actually like, all right, so we are going to give the official Comic Nerds review. We're going to stamp it at approval of an 8. Sound good?
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Official Comic Book Nerds, or official Comic Nerds stamp of approval, 8 for Spider-Man. If you haven't seen this movie, go ahead and see it. If you did see this movie, let us know what you thought about this. If you agree with some of our theories, if you agree with our approach and our thoughts about this movie, go ahead and say that out. Now we're going to go right into the end credit scenes, I think. And this is one thing that actually pissed me off again, was they did my man Tom Hardy dirty. Dirty.
They brought him in just
Just to
for an
send him
end
back
credit
out.
scene?
Yo,
Like,
they
what
brought
the
him in.
fuck?
And here's what pissed me off too. He doesn't know who Peter Parker is. So how the hell did he get teleported into the multiverse? That's
That's
my
what I'm
theory.
saying.
So
I mean, it has to be Venom's
no,
like
yeah,
fault.
it's Venom's fault.
It's not about knowing Peter Parker thing. It's about his connection to the spiders.
So
That has to be what it is.
here's the theory that I heard was
Yeah.
in the end of the in the end credit scene for Venom 2, Venom said that he knew multiverses of information, and he was going to show Tom, about that until they got teleported. There are theories that Venom is the same Venom from the third Tobey Maguire movie, and that's why he knows who Peter Parker is in a different multiverse. But the thing is, I don't know how accurate that is, because then Venom would have just recognized Peter Parker from the beginning when he was teleported into the multiverse and he looked at that TV, and he'd be like, oh, who is this person? He's like, I don't know, but I don't like him. So he would have known who he was from the start, you know what I mean? But then at the end credit scene for Spider-Man, Tom Hardy was basically like, maybe I should seek out this Peter Parker. And then I got so fucking excited because I was like, yes.
Hmm.
I was like, Spider-Man 4, Venom versus Peter Parker, like Spider-Man. This is going to be sick. I've been waiting for this. Tom Hardy's going to be in this. This is going to be crazy. And then he just fucking disappeared. And I was like, that was so frustrating to just
It
find this
was.
out. I
That
was
was so
so
good.
mad. So
And
mad.
just give them like a sliver of the symbiote to be a part of the universe. I'm like, that's how they're gonna introduce Venom to the universe by
I like it.
accidentally dropping
Yeah.
a piece of goo or whatever.
But I
It's
like it
like
a
it's cool like that. Yeah.
little bit, because now it just gives
I
us
mean,
our own variant of Venom. It's
yeah,
not going to be an
Yeah.
anti-hero, you know what I mean? It's not going to be like a hero-y kind of
yeah.
thing. He's going to be actually evil because he's going to like Peter Parker so much that he wants to be part of him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, I mean, they also have a Flash, and Flash is also Venom as well. So like maybe they're gonna go that route. Who
Fun thing that
knows?
you mentioned that after the movie came out, they actually they released a small clip of Flash being interviewed, and the Jameson's little interview show with the blonde girl from the high school. So he was introduced. It says Flash at the bottom. It said something something and then Patriot, and that I think is leading up to Agent Venom, because Agent
Oh,
Venom was known as the Patriot, of Spider-Man and stuff like that. So I think this could happen. And I was talking to Rolly, and Rolly actually made a really good point where he was like, "Oh, like now that Flash doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man anymore, Flash could actually be really um, he wanted to go to MIT, but the only reason that he went to MIT was because he knew Peter. You know what I mean? So now that he doesn't know Peter, maybe he doesn't go to MIT. Maybe he's so influenced by Spider-Man that he wants to become a hero that he actually ends up joining the army. And that's how he starts to become a weapons professional. He gets jacked, he does all this stuff, he gets good at fighting, and then he joins up with the symbiote and becomes Agent Venom. You know what I mean? And that's where he starts to get his skills, his powers, all that kind of stuff.
that'll be a great route.
Right. But
Like, I would love to see
Rolly
Agent Venom.
Rolly also made a really good point here. So we saw the outline of Scorpion in the multiverse thing. So those are
Mhm.
saying that those are actually going to be future villains in the new Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
The two, now that they don't know who Peter Parker is, they have Vulture and they have Scorpion in the same jail, which is somewhere in California, I believe. What
Mhm.
if the symbiote finds its way to the California jail cell and attaches himself to Scorpion? Because we do know that the character who played
We
Scorpion
really did
was
discuss that as well.
Venom. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he was Venom before he became Scorpion. And so, what if there was an agreement to break out of jail? He becomes Venom, teams up with Vulture, goes to find Spider Man, and then Venom attaches himself to Spider Man. The guy gets jealous, becomes Scorpion. You know what I mean? This is a very interesting direction, and I really think that that's actually the approach that it's going to come to. And I think that would be amazing to see his version of Venom. And I don't remember the character's name. It was a Spanish name, I think, or something like that. But uh, it's not Eddie Brock. And that would be cool because then Marvel
Yeah.
would make their own version of Spider-Man so that Sony still has Eddie Brock, but now Marvel
Mhm.
has the other guy. And I think that's where we start to see the evilness of it, because he was already evil. So now he becomes Venom, becomes evil, and then becomes Scorpion, who's evil, but then the symbiote attaches himself and finds some way to Spider-Man. And then that's how
Mm.
that whole thing plays out. And I think that's such a good thing that Rolly sniped out. It was like so, like, I don't know how he thinks of these things, but he just like he said it so smooth.
He's
He was just
heavy
like,
into
yeah,
the
this stuff,
Marvel
and I was like,
universe.
damn, Rolly, like that was such a. I didn't even think. I totally forgot about that approach. So
Yeah.
small things like that, I think that that's actually a really cool thing. But to have this,
Well,
oh god,
I can notice small things about DC.
uh, you
I
can,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
when Flash was walking with Peter and stuff like that, he was holding his book. It says Flashpoint. I'm just saying.
It did.
You notice that?
Yeah, it
Ah,
did. It did. That was really
a
funny.
jab.
So
Ridiculous.
yeah, I don't even. So that,
Carry on.
yeah, I'm just saying that kind of frustrated me. That end credit scene was just so upsetting.
Yeah.
It
What a
was,
letdown.
yeah, underwhelming.
But I think they kind of knew that it wasn't like because Tom Hardy's Venom was just an anti-hero, right? It wouldn't be a
Yeah,
good
Yeah, it just
meetup.
wouldn't
this is
do
like
it.
a hero,
They
and they
just be
built his
friends.
own universe already. So it's like they didn't want to waste it by throwing him in away into MCU. Like the
Mhm.
MCU could take care of themselves, kind of stuff. So they were like,
Hmm.
they just wanted to give a reason to have Venom in the MCU.
Right, and they found a
Yeah.
loophole.
Like,
They found a loophole so they don't have
yeah,
to partner up with Sony on
like
it.
it was just disappointing that like we thought we get this cool epic meet of Tom Hardy's Venom and
Yeah.
Tom Holland's
Now,
Spider-Man.
we
Like we
still
thought we'd
could
get that.
get that with Andrew Garfield. We could still potentially get it,
Yeah.
but it's
I
not
think yeah,
confirmed.
because
Who
after if
knows?
Morbius is it because Morbius is definitely in the Venom universe,
Hmm.
the Sonyverse. That trailer verifies that there is a Spider-Man in there.
That's true.
Now, which Spider-Man is it? They're not
Yeah,
gonna make a whole ass new Spider-Man, that's for sure.
yeah,
So it's like it either has to because think of that picture was of Tobey Maguire, like on the wall. That was a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man pose, like screenshot and stuff.
yeah. It was.
But Andrew Garfield's would make more sense, you know,
Yeah.
and like yeah, I feel that it's hard to say, but like yeah, I'm betting on one of the two coming back as that. Like if not to like reprise a role as Spider-Man
Hmm.
or like just cameos as like he's swinging around, still taking down villains and shit.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, for sure. So, yeah, that was upsetting. But the more exciting um, one is actually the next end credit
Green.
scene, which was the Doctor Strange trailer, which was
Yeah, let's straight up a trailer.
absolutely wow. That, first of all, another fun fact thing is that the director of Spider-Man and Feige and everyone in the freaking Marvel universe already said that this Spider-Man movie is just an appetizer compared to what's to come in Doctor Strange. Just an appetizer. We are going to get a full course
Multiverse of
meal
Madness.
with
What
the
do we
Multiverse of
expect?
Madness. And here's the
Yeah.
crazy thing. Multiverse of Madness. This is my theory, and I would absolutely love and find this hilarious to see. The Multiverse of Madness is called the Multiverse of Madness for a reason. It involves the multiverse. The directors and writers of the Spider-Man movie already said that they want more of Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield because they love the banter between all these things. They want to see them come back. They had fun with Loki because they were introducing different variants and different character versions of the characters that we have in Marvel. They love this new movie because they get to have the banter between all three Spider-Man. They introduce all that kind of stuff and they have fun with the multiverse. They want to do more stuff with the multiverse, and you're going to get it all in this Doctor Strange movie. And it got me thinking because they already said they want to bring back more OG characters. They want to bring back more original people and actors from other movies. If I don't get, and I swear to God, if I don't get Chris Evans' version of the Human Torch in this movie, I'm going to
Come on
be
now.
pissed. Because here's the thing: they already brought
The
back the different.
disrespect.
No, no, no. And I think it would be a funny joke. You know what I mean? Because they already brought back different variants of characters from Loki. They brought back Andrew Garfield. They brought back Tom Holland. Or, I mean, Tobey Maguire. They said that they want to have fun with this and bring back more OG characters. We already have Chris Evans who played Captain America. What if we just made a joke, cracked at that joke, and brought Chris Evans back as a different character that he played and portrayed in Marvel? And I think that would be hilarious. I think that Chris Evans would definitely be down for that. And I think it would just be a very funny scene to have in this movie or to bring back other original characters, maybe X-Men. We can see this is how we can maybe bring back Wolverine. This is how we can maybe bring back some other people from other
That's the
universes, from other
Deadpool we
movies.
wanted.
The Deadpool. All this crap we can be being introduced, but I just think it would be really funny if we got Chris Evans as Human Torch. So that is just a
Yeah.
that is a I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember episode 7 for a few reasons. One, I think that Andrew Garfield is going to be in Morbius. Two, I think that they're going to be introducing more, and Andrew Garfield is going to have a third movie. And 3 is that they're going to bring back Chris Evans to be the Human Torch. And if they don't, I swear to God, I'm going to be pissed.
That one's more of a reach than anything else.
Marvel, if you're listening to this, it's going to be funny. People will love it. I know they will. So if you're watching this and you didn't do that, refilm it. Bring Chris Evans back. Tell him to come and refilm this for like 5 minutes. Go for it. Add this in. I swear to God, I promise you it's going to work. It would be hilarious. But that is my theory there. Just like they're saying it's an appetizer. This looks actually terrifying. Like, not terrifying, I shouldn't say, but it looks thrilling. It looks
the horror
eerie.
vibe that they said they were gonna do,
because
they said this movie was supposed to be like a horror movie,
dark, and
and
they
like
have evil Doctor Strange.
Sound, the music in it already like gives that intense feel, and I'm like, oh, I love that.
Darkness, creepiness.
That's what they said. That's what they said about No Way Home. It's gonna be dark, depressing. It wasn't that dark. It wasn't depressing.
A little bit depressing.
The trailer was dark,
darker than what it's been.
What it
is not like it's not a relatively dark story.
Like,
and you didn't say you liked Doctor Strange, the first one?
I did. Yeah. But this trailer like confused the hell out of me because it's bringing like characters from all the other Marvel shit, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
It's they're only bringing like one character back, and that's Scarlet Witch. That's really it. So they're bringing Scarlet Witch back.
Messed me up.
Yeah, and then they're bringing evil.
Just watch Age of Ultron, and you'll see her introduction.
Yeah, pretty much.
I did see that one. I went to see that one with Adam, and I was hugely disappointed.
Yeah, he was very disappointed. I was actually very upsetting. But yeah, so we're gonna bring that. And here's the other thing too. Here's the kicker: is evil Doctor Strange. We will have regular Doctor Strange versus evil Doctor Strange, and that's really cool because what if they're pulling the What If universe into this universe? You know what I mean? And that's really cool. But in the What If episode, Doctor Strange was fixated on bringing back his love interest, bringing back the girl from the car accident. And every single time he attempted to bring her back, he tried every possibility known to man. He watched his love interest die thousands and thousands of times without finally realizing that there is no possible way to bring her back. But then he attempted to bring her back with a resurrection spell. And in order to do that, he needed more power. So what he would do was he would summon otherworldly beings and then suck in their power to get stronger and defeat them through that. But in that sense, he actually stopped becoming human, and all of the power that he was gaining actually like morphed him and tainted his like thought and just like his self and his soul. So he ended up becoming evil Doctor Strange with like the power to like do whatever the hell he wants. But he screwed the multiverse up so bad that he actually ended up destroying his universe because he was so strong in bringing back his love interest. Actually was it screwed up the timeline so much that it destroyed his universe. And speaking of switching the timeline, we actually brought back Shane. In the very beginning, you mentioned the fact that they healed every villain, but they brought him back to the original time seconds before their death.
Yeah.
My theory, and this is like kind of what messes me up, if they saved them and their death never happened, that screws their timeline up so much. Because now that the Green Goblin never died, Hobgoblin was never created. Harry Osborn's still alive. Harry Osborn is still Peter's best friend in Tobey Maguire's universe. Dr. Octopus never actually becomes Dr. Octopus because Osborn probably still funds him instead of Harry Osborn. And, you know, we don't see a Dr. Octopus, so there's no Dr. Octopus, which means that Dr. Octopus's wife is still alive. Which means that, you know, there's still so much other things that Spider-Man still exists, but there's no villains. You know what I mean? These are all crazy. And because of this, Dr. Octopus is gone. There's no Spider-Man 3. I mean, the Venom could have been there, but like Harry Osborn isn't. Sandman potentially couldn't have existed. This really messes up their whole timeline. Andrew Garfield's universe. With Andrew Garfield's universe, he healed the Lizard. So the Lizard, that means that the Lizard never actually turned other people into lizards, which means that Gwen Stacy's father never actually died. And with Electro,
Gwen Stacy can die.
Well, with Electro, that means Electro was actually, he turned into Electro. That's fine because he fell into a pit of eels. So,
but Gwen Stacy died.
No, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So because Electro was never actually like he was Electro, but like he was, he was created. They probably wouldn't even have been in that location, and if they weren't, because they went to that location specifically for Electro. So if Electro wasn't there, then that means Andrew Garfield had no reason to go to that location, which means that Gwen Stacy didn't go, which means that Gwen Stacy didn't die, which means that Gwen Stacy is still alive. Her father is still alive,
No, because
and
it's the moment right before they died
right.
or before he changed,
But
like,
but
and
the
all that stuff.
moment, but
Yeah,
but
but
the
they're
So
moment,
talking. He's
it
talking
still
about
doesn't
all the way
matter,
back to Goblin.
right?
Like
yeah,
But I'm saying like
Goblin and all the way back to
because it's
the
moments
first
before they
one.
died, but they saved them. So the whole entire point was to save them from dying moments before they died, which means that they didn't die, which means that it changes the timeline. But with Gwen, maybe Gwen dies, but because the moment before he died was at the power plant, but the power plant broke, did all this other crazy crap. Like Gwen wouldn't have had to go up there. Like the Hobgoblin would have been introduced, but I feel like Andrew would have been able to take care of him a lot easier. And yeah, the Hobgoblin was like in it for the second movie, but all these other things just really mess it up. Like Gwen Stacy's dad is definitely alive because they didn't change. But Lizard never actually died. He just got arrested.
Yeah,
But like that's what I'm saying. Like I think it messes Tobey Maguire's timeline up a lot more
yeah, I would say it messes his more than Andrew's,
than it
if
does
anything.
mess with Andrews. But it's like I said, like no Hobgoblin for Toby because Green Goblin never died. Could have still funded Octavius. Octavius's wife never died, so it's a lot more peaceful as far as Toby Maguire's goes. But it's like, how does that affect Toby? And do we even see that? And it's like they don't
I mean,
think that's
I
something
think
they
there
just
was
didn't
a
brush up
part in
on.
the movie. I remember reading something where it's like Toby in No Way Home. He mentioned him and MJ's living like a married life or something like that
Yeah, he said it was
after all that.
complicated. Yeah, they never really
Yeah.
married. It wasn't like they didn't do anything. After all those years, they didn't like get married or anything.
Well, I mean, so I did send you this news thing where they're gonna do a Tobey Maguire. It's in the work,
Hmm.
Spider-Man 4, but it's gonna be animated. So we'll find out,
Yeah, we'll
right?
see. I would love that, but okay. So that's I swear that I promise this is my last thing about Spider-Man. I just kept on remembering because we brought it up earlier. But okay, back to Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange is really cool because we have evil Doctor Strange, we have Scarlet Witch, and here's the fun thing: we actually have, and let me just pull this up so I'm actually getting the name right. I don't know if you guys noticed this. There was a quick little thing where a woman put on the iconic star jean jacket, who's none other than America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez. I definitely mispronounced that. The actress Gomez, and she is now Miss America. And I think that that was so
know nothing about
cool.
that character.
So Miss
Yeah.
America is actually just as strong as Captain America, if not stronger. And she has the ability to actually open portals into the multiverse. She travels with a group of people and goes through different multiverses to kind of do stuff. I don't exactly know too much about her character. I just know that she can do that. The dumb thing is she punches and stars show up. And like she has the power, like her power is so insane that if she punches you at full strength, a giant star explodes and you basically explode. Like you can die. She will kill you with a star
Jesus.
punch. But like she can travel back into multiverses. Everything is a star. And that's the thing. It's like that's why she's called Miss America, is like it's all star related, but her portals open up as a star. Her punches come out as stars. She can turn like people. She can fly. She has superhuman strength, and she can fly, and she can do all this other stuff, and open portals. I think that's the most important part, is to know that she can open portals, which I think is going to be a really big deal when it comes to Doctor Strange and the whole multiverse situation. She might actually be hunted because there was a villain, I guess, in Doctor Strange that was confirmed, but I don't remember the name of the villain. It's like this really long eel-looking thing with one eyeball. It's like a part of the multiverse or something. There's a theory saying that she's running away from that thing, but there can also be a theory about her running away from Spider-Man 2099. there can be because Spider-Man is preventing all these travel from multiverses and stuff like that. She can also be running away from. Oh my God! Hey, Marcus Devil May Cry, scare the crap out of me. But thank you for the follow. I appreciate the support. I
I guess
it
Doctor
was
Strange
it
is kind
was
of like a horror movie, huh?
really loud. But hey, I really appreciate the support. I hope you're having a great night. If you saw Spider-Man, let us know what you thought of this while we're actually finishing up on the Doctor Strange thing here. So yeah, so there's a lot of theories as to what Miss America is actually going into, and I think the approach is really cool. I had an argument with a 14-year-old girl, and I'm just gonna say this right now. I want to get this off my chest. 14-year-old girl, blonde chick in the movie theater that saw the same movie as me. If you're watching this, I swear, come at me, catch me outside, because I swear to God, what you said pissed me off so much. But I'm gonna read what Marcus says real quick. Are we shocked about Andrew Mike getting a few more movies after this acting in No Way Home? Absolutely not. I'm not really shocked. I'm just more excited. When we did talk about this, I love the fact that Andrew Garfield is going to be getting more. Tobey Maguire might actually be getting more parts into these movies too. So we might
He
actually
is.
be seeing yeah, and we might see. I think we mentioned this earlier, but we actually might see a Secret War. And if the Secret War comes up, they were thinking about bringing both Tobey and Andrew Garfield back in these movies. And I think that would be fantastic. They're saying that Andrew Garfield is finally going to get a third movie to his trilogy. Tobey Maguire might be coming back to help Tom Holland. They might both be back. And the thing is also, actually, speaking of the Doctor Strange trailer, the same director that directed the Tobey Maguire movies is actually the director for this Doctor Strange movie. And so they're saying that Tobey Maguire might actually be back for
Mm.
Multiverse of Madness. So we'll see what happens there, but I'm not surprised. Actually, I'm very excited. I'm very happy that the fact that Toby and Andrew were able to get closure with this movie, but they were so well liked and so hyped that they are actually coming back and reprising their roles makes me so warm, so toasty. My 8-year-old self
Yeah.
is so happy about this. Like, he's cheering on the inside. And I think that this brings in so much more flexibility with their movies in the phases.
I'm just excited to see more of Andrew Garfield's acting.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
you know it's gonna be emotional.
it's going
It's
to be
gonna be
great.
emotional. Whatever he
He's
does.
so good with
Um,
the emotional aspects, but also good with the comedy. And he's
mhm.
overall, he's such an underrated actor. I got to give it to him. He's very
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, Doctor Strange. So yeah, Miss America is coming into it, but I think that they have the potential to be bringing back a lot of characters, OG actors and actresses, and I think that if they so here's the problem though, is that they overhyped this movie. I feel like they did overhype this Spider-Man movie in a sense. So now that they're calling this just an appetizer, it kind of scares me with the Doctor Strange multiverse movie, because now I feel like they're already overhyping this movie and I just don't want it to be disappointing. So, let's see. I would do with Toby movie. I would do with Spider-Woman, Peter and MJ's kid. I would do some Toby Spider-Man training his daughter, to be honest with you. That would actually be really cool.
I would love that
Love
one.
that. And like Shane
I was
mentioned,
reading some stuff about that.
yeah, like Shane mentioned before, this is going to be an animated, supposedly Spider-Man 4. Or Andrew mentioned
Yeah.
this, yeah. So animated Spider-Man 4 here. So they have a lot of capability of doing stuff with animation, and they could definitely be training the daughter. So big things. There's so many different approaches into doing this kind of stuff, and I think that they are so smart when it comes to this. And I do
Yeah.
have faith that the movies will actually be pretty good. So we'll see.
They did say
Yeah.
that they're still trying to get Kristen Dunst, the one to play MJ, to voice MJ again. So
Oh,
that-
that would be really cool.
we're gonna see them again, or at least hear them again.
Hear them again, yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, I would love it. I would. I really would love that. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys, if your thoughts about the trailer here, thoughts about Doctor Strange.
I'm not really. I don't know. I don't know how I feel, but I'm indifferent. It's whatever. We'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly I watched it only once during
Yeah,
the
I've
thing.
seen
I
it only
didn't
once.
rewatch it. I
Mhm,
didn't rewatch it yet online.
mhm.
Expectations are high for me. But like it's just anticipation. I have no theories. I have no realistic expectations or story plots in my mind
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like this can go in any direction.
Yeah.
And especially after No Way Home, I'm like, I'm just gonna stop trying to make
You
guesses
gotta, yeah,
because
Yeah, that's
multiverse, no,
basically
because
it. Yeah.
multiverse of madness is so wildly maddening
yeah,
that like it's no point of trying to like figure it out. And I'm just gonna wait for the trailers to drop.
yeah.
See if I can figure out any kind of plot, and then like just see if it's like how great it's gonna be.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? If it's just gonna have Scarlet Witch or it's gonna be other cameos of other characters, or if it does connect the what if version of the dark Doctor Strange. Like
True,
who
true.
knows? It's all interesting, it's intriguing, and I'm just looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah. Let's see here. Marcus says Doctor Strange 2 teaser. Tell me that he need remember the events of No Way Home because Doctor Strange says some stuff only possible if he remembered, and he thinks Doctor Strange will act like he doesn't remember until he needs Peter at some point, most likely in the Avengers 5. Which I was actually thinking about this. I feel like Doctor Strange is smart enough to include himself or exclude himself in this process so that he remembers that Peter is Spider-Man for later use. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
the thing, right? So like that's a possibility, but then the thing is, right? Spider-Man exists in that you like they in everyone's memory still, which means Spider-Man still fought Endgame, still fought with the Avengers in Civil War, and like so they can always just reach out to Spider-Man in whatever way that they can, and like I don't think like them knowing that he was Peter Parker was pivotal to his role
yeah,
or like his like the weight of like his helpfulness. Like
So
it's just because Spider-Man, Spider-Man,
yeah.
you know.
So I can also
yeah.
see I can see it. I can see him taking himself out of it, but I can also see him keeping himself in. Because in the very beginning of the movie, when Peter came up to him and asked him to do that forgetful spell, um, the only reason that Peter intervened was because Doctor Strange said it was good to know you. Or like it was
Yeah,
good knowing you, you know what I mean? Good luck and everything. And then Peter was like, "Wait, what do you mean?" And that's when he said, "This spell is going to erase everyone's memories and we are all going to forget that Peter Parker was Spider-Man." And so that kind of to me makes me feel like Doctor Strange might not have actually included himself in it and that he might have actually put himself in to forget that Peter Parker ever existed. Um,
yeah.
but in a way, I feel like he could be smart enough to the point where he was like, you know what, let's kind of take myself out of this
Yeah,
just
but
in
It's
at the
it's
same
case.
time, it's like all his powers and stuff like that. He can figure out who Spider-Man is
Easily.
easily.
Yeah, pretty
So
much.
yeah.
yeah, it
It's
doesn't
because
really need to.
He's
he
going to
doesn't
need to
need
be
to
in it.
like make himself remember because I mean it's because I feel like after everything that's happening with the multiverse tearing apart, I feel like at that point he just like accepts that this is gonna be what he's gonna respect Peter Parker's wishes and just forget too because he doesn't want to take the chance that if even one person remembers, it could still cause like some rift. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I feel like maybe after that,
Good.
but who knows?
I don't know. Oh, but I totally forgot. I forgot how I almost like got into a fight with a 14-year-old girl. All right. So listen,
Go
guys.
on.
All right. I'm gonna go on. I say she's 14, but she was most likely probably like 17 or something, which doesn't make much of a difference because she still pissed me off. So we're watching the trailer. Trailer's going great. I'm hyped because I'm like, great. This is a Doctor Strange trailer. This is gonna be sick. And so I'm sitting enjoying my time. I just enjoyed a great movie, you know, whatever. And the trailer drops. So now we're seeing little clippets of things. It's looking eerie. It's looking kind of thing. We see a hand. That hand had like this light, this glow, and it was Scarlet Witch. Clearly, anyone who knows the movies would know that this was Scarlet Witch. But right after that scene, there was a quick cut scene to where we see the woman putting on the iconic jean jacket with the star on the back. And it was fast. 1 second glimpse, you see it, and then it goes dark. You know, there was like one other scene, it goes dark. It was very, very quiet. And we see evil Doctor Strange. And that's when evil Doctor Strange was introduced. Now, when this all happened, there was an annoying girl who, by the way, I'm calling you out, filmed the trailer on her phone as it was playing. So like illegal. But she was talking through the whole thing too. So I don't even think she
Criminal.
got I don't even think she got a good recording. She was like, "Oh my god. Oh my god." And she don't know like comic book characters. She only knows what happened in previous movies. So
Yeah.
she was like, "Holy crap. Whoa. Wow. This is crazy. Doctor Strange, blah blah blah." She was being mad annoying through the whole thing. I just want to watch this goddamn trailer. Out of instinct, just out of really excitement, I didn't mean to say this as loud as I did, but I did, and it was louder because I said it at the point where the trailer went quiet before introducing Evil Doctor Strange. I said, "Holy crap, was that Miss America?" And a bunch of people heard me. This chick had the nerve to turn around, look me dead in the eye, and say, "No, that was Scarlet Witch." I have never been so pissed in my life. I literally said verbatim, "Bitch, I know that was Scarlet Witch." And like, I didn't mean to call her a bitch. It was just an instinct. I was just like, "Bitch, what?" Like, I know that that's Scarlet Witch. And I was like, "No, like there's two women in this trailer. Scarlet Witch is clear. You see the iconic hand movement with the little flashy things, and it was awesome. And then you see her later on, and she was introduced picking at some tree. But like I know that that's Scarlet Witch. I'm talking about the other girl in this thing with a freaking star on her back. And then I told her, and I was like, I'm talking about the chick with the jean jacket. Like, is that Scarlet Witch? That was so insulting to me. I don't know why. It's just like, it irked me so bad. And I was like, the nerve of some people. God damn. Let me see here. Marcus said, if Sony is really going to do a Spider-Verse, Sony needs to cast Madam Web because Madam Web is Nick Fury, but only in the Spider-Verse. Wait, what? Madam
Madam
Web?
Web is Nick
Basically,
Fury
she's
in
equivalent to
Spider-Man.
Nick Fury in the Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
How Nick Fury is
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the
How Nick
MCU, how he
Fury.
brought all the Avengers.
Right.
Yeah, and
Got
Madam
it.
West brought all the Spider-Man
I
from
was
other
actually
I know
wondering
exactly what
if they
you're
would
talking
do a Madam Web in the series
They could.
because the Spider-Verse story, like there are like Spider-Verse stories with like that involve like bringing all of them and stuff, and then there's the whole like spiders across the multiverse
Yeah.
thing, and so that's
Yeah.
why.
Well,
And
that's
I'm like,
why
I would love to see that.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I really feel like one of these next 3 Spider-Men that Tom Holland is supposedly signed up for is going to be a Into the Spider-Verse movie, live action movie, because now you have so many different opportunities, you have so many directions that can go into. They broke the multiverse. Clearly, Spider-Man 2099 is going to be roped into this. He is always roped into something when the multiverse is taking, is into this whole entire thing. So he'll be roped in. We have Spider-Man 2099. We now have Toby, Andrew, Tom Holland. That is 4 Spider-Men right now. We can have Gwen. We can have Miles Morales. We can have Madam Web. All these other different variants of Spider-Man that can be roped into this entire thing to do a Spider-Verse movie. And you can, again, bring villains from multiple things. What if, and hear me out, what if they're gearing for a Spider-Verse movie and Morbius is an introduction to one of the villains that's going to be in it? You know what I mean? Morbius can be a villain into the multiverse movie. Venom could be a villain into the multiverse movie. We can have different variants of, Rhino, Scorpion, Electro. Like, all these people can now become villains that the Spider-Verse has to fight. Fisk, these people can really gear up because now we see Fisk. He's in the movie. Fisk could be the leader of a Sinister Six. He could be the leader of the organization of whatever villains are going to come out. You know what I mean? Like, there could be so much stuff. There's so much room for this.
You gotta watch Hawkeye.
I
You
do.
need to watch Hawkeye.
I do. She would cast.
I know. I was reading the comment. Yeah, it made me giggle.
Marcus said he would cast Betty White as Madam Web. Which, like, happy birthday to Betty White turning 100 years old. But that is amazing.
Jeez, yeah.
Oh my god, I can't even. That's a great cast.
I could see
Um,
her like just sitting on a chair, just talking to all the Spider-Man.
that would be
Oh
fantastic.
my God.
But yeah, there's just so many different directions that we can get into. Deadpool's now able to be introduced. X-Men is being able to be introduced. Oh, if Deadpool is in Doctor Strange too, that I
I don't
That's
can't.
think
way
so.
too
I
out
think
Bro,
there.
that
you're
would be
stretching that way too
that would be
far at
really
this point.
out there. Especially, it would ruin the eeriness and the horror aspect of the
Yeah.
whole thing. But like,
Yeah.
I
wow,
mean, if this movie at least opens up parts of the multiverse where like they'll like say bring the Fantastic Four in or the X-Men in, the Deadpool in, but like without actually showing that them in there, like I'd like that a lot more because then it's like okay, now we're officially a part of the MCU.
right?
You know what I mean? That's a Multiverse of Madness is definitely a good way to do that.
Oh yeah,
And like
definitely.
so, and think about because like Quantumania with Ant Man, that doesn't come out until 2023. So like, and that's like with to do with the multiverse as well with King Conqueror and shit,
Hmm.
or like I'm pretty sure something like that. And like, so I'm wondering like, how long are they gonna stretch out this multiverse storyline?
Right.
Like into what span of movies? Like, is Thor: Love and Thunder because of the multiverse as
Oh,
well? You know what I
100%.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to have Natalie Portman's version of
Mhm.
female Thor. And I don't think that's going to be the
Yeah.
Natalie Portman in Thor's universe. I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
different Natalie Portman, and that's the Thor of her universe. So
Hmm.
I think the thing is, I think now, like I said, this is why I'm saying that this is such an important movie, is
Hmm.
that this movie set the stone for every movie now. Multiverse is going to be a part of every movie moving forward, whether it physically affects them or it's just a part of the maybe villain who's in, or just like something that it's going to affect every single movie. You're going to have Thor Love and Thunder, multiverse, female Thor. You're going to have, like you said, Ant-Man is going to have the multiverse involved in this. Doctor Strange is going to have the multiverse involved in this. We already had the multiverse teased in Loki. We had the multiverse teased in WandaVision because WandaVision's kids can actually be real in a different multiverse, and she's probably going to try and save them. We have we're starting to see more movies from different universes, such as Morbius. We have Venom, who's a part of a different universe. We have um, what else is going to be a part of this stuff? Like we got other TV shows. Daredevil could have been introduced as a different universe for whatever reason. People can just be coming in, and that's how, like, X-Men, Fantastic Four, all of these people that have been confirmed. Like Fantastic Four, I think was confirmed for Phase 5. X-Men was also confirmed for Phase 5, I believe. So it's like there's always all of these different universes that we can kind of be tying in from Sony that we can now bring into Marvel. And I think that every movie from here on out is going to involve the multiverse in some way, shape, or form.
There's so much
There's so
that's
much that they can
gonna
do.
happen. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. It's like, because at first I was skeptical. I was like, damn, they got rid of Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain America, and these are like OG characters that kind of launched the whole thing. I'm like, can I really feel the same kind of love and affection for like the future parts of this? Like, if like all these
Oh,
OGs are gone.
right.
But then like Marvel and Disney has a way of telling these stories in such a way where like they take the right time
Yeah,
to tell it where you build a new love for
right.
certain characters and like I feel like okay, I'm pretty hopeful for it with the plans that they have and the inclusion of all these other superheroes. I'm like, okay, this like it's still gonna be good. It's still gonna be
Oh,
amazing and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Still definitely going to be good. Marcus actually confirmed that the Fantastic Four is actually the end of Phase 4. And he also says
Oh,
he hopes that the MCU actually has Ultimate World because that's how X-Men actually entered the MCU. So that would actually be really cool. So you could do a little teaser with Doctor Strange and then really kind of gear it up for X-Men because they technically haven't confirmed X-Men yet. So there could be a lot of
hmm,
different directions. Like I said, that's why I like comic books and that's why I like Marvel, is because there's so many different portrayals of certain things that happen that you can have every single direction and you can just choose which one you want to go through. There are different variants of X-Men.
Which
There are
one was
different
the best
variants
one to
of
fit this? Yeah.
Fantastic Four. There are different variants of Thor. There are different variants of Captain America. There's like 8 Captain Americas, you know what I mean? So it's just like pick one, go in the direction that you want to go to. This multiverse gives you that flexibility of making things the way that you want to actually make it, or putting different variants of comic book characters the way that you want to portray it in the actual movies. And it's I don't know how they do it. They wrote this movie up so well, and I think it's crazy how they announced 3 new phases, Marvel phases 4 through 6, but they know what's going to happen in like phase 7, 8, and 9. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're gearing up. They have such a long-term proposal here, and they're gearing up for it, and they know the direction that they want to go to. They've been doing the research, and they've been doing it accurately too. And I think that they keep moving in the direction that they're going to move into, and I'm going to have an entire bookshelf full of movies because I'm buying every single one of them. It's like I don't even know how my kids are going to watch every movie from every phase, because by the time my kids are old enough to comprehend these movies, it's going to be like phase 8. And we already have, we already have what, like 30 something movies for the first 3 phases. I'm going to have like 90 movies by the time this comes out. And my kids are going to watch every single one of them, you know?
The way that they're going, right? Yeah, do you guys know how like in manga and anime, where like the manga is far ahead of the anime,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually the anime catches up to the manga, and so it's like imagine that same concept for the MCU, is finally catching up to all of the stories and stuff for the comic books.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, like they're not drawing fast enough,
Dude,
not writing fast enough.
Yeah.
I want the directors and the writers to come together and like literally make the multiverse in a way where they do Marvel vs. DC.
Hey,
If
because
they
they
can,
have that comic, the
It would be a quick
crossover.
battle.
it would be
Yeah.
they would be tied. There's no side is gonna
It wouldn't be
win.
tied.
It will be tied.
Superman can
They
take
already
out
wrote the
75%
comic.
of Marvel.
They already wrote the comic.
Superman's
Actually,
weakness is
No, that
magic.
comic I don't count it as canon.
Listen,
you don't count like it's the only
'Cause
one
didn't
ever written.
yeah,
I know, but wasn't that didn't they make it like it was fan base, like people vote to which character will win?
well,
It was
it could be, but here's the thing: if you
No,
make a
I'm saying
movie
they
of this,
wrote it that way. The one that Shane is
oh,
talking about, they wrote it like based on like fans' votes.
oh,
I mean,
okay,
because didn't like Hulk, like
it was
Batman
it
beat
was
Hulk.
it
yeah,
was the
that's
official
stupid.
like
But
well yeah moving between
here's the
them.
thing: looking at this logically with the characters that we have right now, Superman's weakness is magic. Do you know how many people have magical powers in the MCU?
He's not
Wanda
significantly weaker though.
alone, Wanda will kick Superman's ass.
I don't think so.
Yes, she will.
I do kind of
She's
think that.
literally magic. Her whole entire thing is
Yeah, but
magic.
he's not weak to magic as he is weak to kryptonite. I mean,
No, it's
he's
so
still
he can
smacking Black Adam, and Black Adam's all
no,
about magic.
no 'cause- so kryptonite makes him weak. He can be weakened by magic, where like he can be hurt, like where like it's kryptonite basically makes him human to get hurt. You know
Yeah,
what I
it
mean?
makes him human. It makes him lose his
Yeah.
powers.
So I feel
Also,
like, and honestly, it's much more of a thrilling fight with Magic versus Superman, because it's like you knock him around, you'll see Superman bleed, like
Right.
hardcore bleed.
You have so many different directions that you can
okay.
go
I
into. You
feel
can
like they
have
need to
Ant-Man
whoop
versus
his-
Adam. You can have that would be funny actually, Ant-Man versus Adam. And then you could have Superman, he'll just be doing his own thing. Batman will kind of be in the background running around trying to catch up with everybody else.
Those
But then he'll fight like Captain America,
No.
you know what I mean? Like Falcon or something. Like
there was
Uh,
also
Batman
there was
probably
also
be in
that
like the
crossover.
headquarters.
he probably could.
There was also the crossover where I don't remember anything about the plot or the storyline, but all I remember was the characters. It was the fusion where like
Oh.
for some reason like so Batman fused with Wolverine and Superman fused with Captain
Yeah, I
America.
remember that.
And it was like all that shit. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But I'm just saying, I think it would actually be more of an even fight than you expect with the characters. I really do.
I do
think
believe
you do.
with the way the MCU is and like what is the DCEU. Yeah.
So
Like if
You
DC,
we
want
had like
DCEU, yeah, but I'm talking about character wise.
yo, I'm
yeah,
saying
no,
we
no,
got to
no.
have that crossover Marvel versus DC, and then all of a sudden during the middle of the fight,
That's their that's
yo,
probably their final end game of like when all else fails and we've
when
lost
they're
all
kind
of
of
our fan
well,
base.
I think when they're done, where they're just like, all right, we've
Yeah,
had enough. I feel like we can kind of
yeah.
just go into it.
Let's just do this for
But
fun.
ready? I
All
already know.
right.
I already know the perfect plot. I already know the perfect thing. We got Marvel. We got DC. They get introduced. They're threatened. They start fighting. Right. Middle of the fight. We got freaking Fast and Furious. He runs up, runs over like half the people. Comes in, so he yells "family." Right. Versus
Family.
versus versus Groot, who's also played by him. So now Groot and him are actually fighting each other off right there. And then you got the Scooby Doo gang. They're going to come out, kind of throw in hands a little bit from there too. We got Super Saiyan Shaggy. He'll come out and then destroy and fight
This wouldn't even
Superman.
be this wouldn't even be like a Marvel or DC movie. It'd be like Fast and Furious 27 or something like that.
Yeah, I
Fast
know.
and
That's
Furious
basically what it
27
is.
into the multiverse.
Yeah.
They got to shut down the multiverse. That's their next mission. But yeah, so all jokes aside, though, I think that would actually be kind of cool. But yeah, so we do have Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness coming out May 6th. So keep it out because 2022 is still going to be a fantastic year for
Yeah.
movies.
Mhm.
So
DC
many
and
movies coming
Marvel.
out, yeah.
DC and Marvel. I'll give it to him because I'm
Mhm.
pumped for the Batman. Batman's coming out,
Yep.
and that's going to be fantastic. I think there's some DC movies that are going to be really good. There's some Marvel movies that are going to be really good too. But the next movie to come out is in January, and that's Morbius. And I'm telling you, you heard it from me, Andrew Garfield is going to be in it.
Nah.
I'm telling you,
I don't
Andrew
think
Garfield is
I
going
don't
to
think
be in
he
it.
will appear in it, but I do believe he is in that universe.
I think he's going to be in it. It might not be for long.
At most
It might be
mentioned.
for like he could be mentioned, but it might not be for long. It could be like just very quick. Just very quick.
Nah. They already finished filming the dang movie before like this hype of Andrew Garfield came back.
Yeah,
So
but
I don't think so.
it could have. I'm telling you, they could reshoot. They reshot all the scenes with
And we would
Tobey
know
Maguire.
about it. There would be news about it.
No, they're keeping this one quiet because
Yeah.
it's being kept under the rug because of the hype and the news that's coming out with this
All
movie,
we know,
Spider-Man.
actually, they had already planned this pre-hype and just like, hey, we never gave Andrew a third
Think
movie,
about
and
think
he's
about
doing really well. And like when we shot with him, in No Way Home, it was like it looked really good.
right.
Maybe
Think
and then
about
they
it this
added
way
him.
though
Who
too.
knows?
There was leaks of photos of Andrew Garfield in a spider suit, and everyone kept on saying that was fake. I bet money Marvel did that on purpose because Marvel knows what it's doing. Marvel knows that if you
Yeah.
leak something out, you're going to get mad hype, and that's fine. And they don't give a shit if the leaks are real because they're still going to make money, and the hype is still going to be crazy. You know what I mean? So I think what they're doing, they release those clips, they release those photos because the hype is still revolved around Spider-Man and this movie. And this movie is still going to be out in a couple of weeks, closer to when Morbius comes out. So people are still going to be paying attention to the Spider-Man movie, and not a lot of people are really that hyped for Morbius. So now you have a Morbius movie. They hide this under the rug because people are still paying attention to Spider-Man, and now Andrew Garfield is a part of Morbius. And I think they did this whole thing on purpose. Like, they knew they were going to bring Andrew Garfield back. They had this whole thing hyped. They can still reshoot some scenes. They reshot the scenes with Tobey Maguire because technically he was supposed to die, but they liked him, so they brought him back. You know what I mean? So, like, there's so many different directions. I really honestly think that he's actually going to be a part of this.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Marcus is saying that Andrew is reportedly in the after credits of Morbius, so the end credit scenes. He might actually be in that.
I don't.
We'll see.
When the heck was it?
I don't know. I don't know where he's getting his information, Marcus. What's your source? But
You
like,
trying to start
hey,
rumor,
I know,
Mark?
right?
I'm gonna
Seems
side.
like
With,
you have
I'm gonna.
all the information, Marcus.
I'm gonna side with Marcus on this one here because I honestly think that Spider-Man has the potential to be in Morbius, whether it's in the end credit scenes or if he's actually in the movie itself. Something's gonna happen, and Andrew Garfield is gonna be a part of it. That's my theory. You heard it from me. We'll talk about this in a month.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
That's basically it. We just
Then
gotta
we'll
wait.
and
That's
then
all
we'll
we
have
gotta
our
do.
next rating for the movies.
Literally
Mhm.
the next rating. That's gonna be our next review there. So get ready because the next movie is Morbius. So we have a hyped thing where basically we have a new superhero movie every month. It's gonna be pretty
Love
crazy.
it.
It's gotta be pretty
I
crazy.
love this era of superheroes.
I
Spider-Man.
wish I was
Absolutely,
younger
like,
though.
Oh, I wish I was younger too. But
yeah,
I appreciate growing up with it. You know what I mean? So like
yeah.
I do wish that I was younger because I think that my younger self would have really enjoyed the movies a lot more. But I also appreciate the fact that I was 8 when this whole thing started. And I said this the last week too before the movie even came out. We say that Robert Downey Jr. started the whole MCU. But for me, what really kicked it off was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man when I was 8 years old. He was basically the first Marvel movie. The first live-action
Mhm.
Marvel movie was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And to see this come back full circle and to have both of them back, and my 8-year-old self is now 28. I grew up with all of this. I watched the growth. I watched Spider-Man, and then I watched the second Spider-Man, and then I watched Iron Man and watched it grow into what the MCU is now, and to have everything just bring out the OGs and to turn it back in. My childhood is complete. And I honestly think that this Spider Man was a fantastic way of ending this year. And then Morbius, I'm hoping, is a good way to start the year as far as hero movies go and Marvel movies
Yeah.
go and all that.
Guess we'll wait and see.
So we will wait and see. But yes, Spider Man is fantastic. I think that's kind of probably where we can end this show out. This is our longest show, 2 hours and 40 minutes. We talked about
Oh,
Spider Man.
dang.
This is just how
Basically,
crazy the
all just
movie
about
was, and it
Spider-Man.
was just insane. It
Yeah.
was pretty much all about Spider Man. But like I said, guys, if you haven't seen the movie, what are you doing? Go ahead and see the movie. If you have, see it again. But let us know what you thought about this movie, honestly. If you are watching this on the YouTube channel, let us know your thoughts. Did you agree or disagree with some of our stuff? If you disagreed, what is it that you disagreed about our stuff with? What would you have liked to see different if there's something that you wanted to see different? And what are you expecting in the future of Marvel movies now that the multiverse really opened up different directions? What is it that you expect? What is it that you want to see? Thank you all for watching this. This is a great episode. Really fun. Finally, awesome to just get everything off of my chest and talk about all this with you guys. But we will be back. We will be back next week. For those of you who celebrate it, I hope you guys have a fantastic, safe, fun Christmas. Happy holidays. And happy Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa is actually on Sunday. So if you guys celebrate any of those, just have a safe day and hope you enjoy it with your family if you're spending some time with your family. But stay safe and have a great weekend. Have a great week, and we will see you next week's episode on episode 8 of the Comic Nerds. So good night, everybody.
All right.